You're listening to the Telltale Channel. In this podcast, if you like what I do and you want to see me continue to do it, don't forget to check out my Patreon. I just finished writing a book titled Was Hitler an Atheist? It talks about religions during the Third Reich and how they work together. Catholics, Jehovah's Witnesses, and Protestants. And I even address the lies told by the evangelical world about Bonhoeffer. It's on Audible and Amazon.
Well, listen up, cause this trend is going bad. With the facts. Why they trying to turn Becky into Dan? You get screw Eminem. I'm Roseanne.
You guys probably remember Roseanne, right? Roseanne, she did a rap song where she dissed Eminem. Seriously. On the right is a guy named Tom McDonald, I think is his name. Yeah, Tom McDonald. He's a MAGA rapper. And he did a song with Roseanne. I'm not joking. The name is Daddy's Home. How disturbingly cringy is that? Hopefully we don't get hit with a copyright thing. I cut the music out, so it's vocals only. Give this a listen.
She won, too bad, it's done, too bad, boo-hoo, so sad. We won, too bad, you cry, we laugh, we wave, it's flag. Thank God.
Now your daddy's home, they're saying. Oh my God, dude, that is so horrific. Literally calling Donald Trump daddy. Oh God, I want to vomit. Ugh.
That we're back, couldn't take another 4 years. That's a wrap, I can take a bath in your tears. That's a fact, you got lipstick all on your beard. You're a man, that is cap, cap.
You got lipstick on your beard, you're a man. Just a shot at trans people. Just disgusting, man. What's wrong with you? It's a minority group that isn't doing to you. Leave people alone. Let them live their life. Isn't that what freedom is about? People can live their own lives and do their own thing. Do you want freedom or not? And I'm sorry, and one more thing. How many people do you think this affects? How many trans people you think there are in the United States? Say it's an epidemic? You say that the number jumped like, 10,000% or something? Yeah, when the number is 5 and it jumps to like 30, there's a 600% increase or something. Wow, 600% jump. Oh my God, that's crazy. There are so few trans people in the U.S., it's ridiculous. And you have chosen this one random group to come after, to persecute. You've chosen this one group to persecute. And why? Because it's fun, because it's easy, because they like doing it. Literally ruining people's lives because you enjoy it. Get help.
Cap. You pretending you're accepting, that's an act. You hear pat. If you want our freedom, come and...
Dude, was he just like miming milking a cow? I think that's what he's doing. He's pretending he's milking a cow. Why is he milking a cow in this video?
If you want our freedom, come and take it back. Bet you can. We want too bad, it's done, too bad, ooh, so sad.
Well, I'm not mad and I'm not sad. I'm disturbed for what happens next in the country. Donald Trump is he's going to turn this into a dictatorship. I'm 40% sure. I mean, I don't want to go down this whole rabbit hole right now, but just take a look at this. Leaked memo reveals alarming German warnings over Trump. The German ambassador wrote a memo to the German government about what's happening in the United States and explained how Trump intends, describe the method by which he intends to turn the U.S. into a dictatorship and the model that he's using. I believe he's using Hungary as a model. Or maybe not. I don't remember. I read the article the other day, but the ambassador describes Trump's vision as one focused on the maximum concentration of power with the president at the expense of Congress and the U.S. states. This is obtained by Reuters, by the way. Reuters is 100% completely and totally trustworthy. Reuters is one of the last trustworthy outlets out there. AP News is pretty good, but doesn't even touch Reuters in how trustworthy it is. And they obtained the memo and released it. According to the document, key democratic institutions, including the legislature, law enforcement, and the media, risk an erosion of their independence and could be misused as a political arm. That's what I'm afraid of. I mean, that's a whole article we could get into, but I don't want to go down the rabbit hole again. That's what I'm afraid of. I'm horrified by it. I think we lost our democracy. Are you okay with that, Tom McDonald? Hypothetically, let's say Trump intended to end democracy in the US. I know that he doesn't believe that. Okay, fine. But what if that were the case? Would you have a problem with that? I believe the answer would be no, he wouldn't. And I believe Roseanne wouldn't have a problem with it either. And by the way, Roseanne has a speaking part in a minute in this song, so just keep listening here. I just finished writing a book titled Was Hitler an Atheist? It talks about religions during the Third Reich and how they worked together. Catholics, Jehovah's Witnesses, and Protestants. And I even address the lies told by the evangelical world about Bonhoeffer. It's on Audible and Amazon. Okay, let's continue.
We want you mad, you cry, we laugh, we wave the flag.
They try to cancel me and say that I'm a racist. Got a mean hook, they can't keep me with that jab.
Oh, God, no, please. Oh, my God. It's so bad. I'm going to put that at the beginning, that Roseanne singing part. It's so bad, dude. You know why she was, quote unquote, canceled? Valerie Jarrett was an aide that worked in the Obama White House. She's black. Roseanne said that she looks like an ape. It's an old school racist trope to call black people apes. It's from segregation days. It's been around forever. Honestly, probably from slavery days. And she comes back up, the next morning she gets on the twit and she says, "Sorry, I was Ambien tweeting." Ambien replies, "Racism is not a side effect of Ambien." Roseanne was, I believe she had a contract basically to do a remake or whatever of her show, Roseanne, from the 90s. She's about to do like an updated version or whatever. 3 seasons were signed, I think, and they canceled. They're like, "We don't want anything to do with this. This is disgusting." So her show was canceled because she's a racist sack of That was not government censorship. That was you being a piece of and people being disturbed by it. It's not cancel culture. That's consequences of your actions. And after that, she went on to repeat psychotic QAnon trash. I'm sorry. Again, I don't want to go down a rabbit hole. I don't intend to do that. But just one more clip from Roseanne so you have an idea of who we're dealing with here. This is just one basic example, and this one isn't even that bad. This is a super mild example of where Roseanne is right now in her head.
You know they eat babies.
They being Democrats.
That is not.
Or people to the left of hunting the homeless for sport, I suppose.
You know they eat babies. That is not bullshit. It's true.
So it's not just the dogs and the cats, not just the pets.
It's not just the dogs and the cats. They're full-on vampires. And everybody still thinks I'm crazy, but I'm not crazy. They're full-on vampires. They love the taste of human flesh and they drink human blood.
Seriously, somebody get her help. What is happening?
They do, Chuck. By the time we go in to vote for Trump, that he will open up everybody's eyes and they will stop pretending to be asleep. You know what they say? You can't wake people up that are pretending to be asleep, but I pray to God, please wake up even those who are pretending to be asleep with the irrefutable truth of what the worst people on this planet are really up to. They are really up to that.
And this is just like complete unadulterated delusion, right? And it's clear that she just needs help, like mental help immediately. But it goes deeper than that. She doesn't just believe that they're vampires, they being the left, me and you. She doesn't just believe that we're vampires that are eating babies. She believes that we should die for it. She is effectively like a stochastic terrorist, whipping people into a blood frenzy, getting them to a point in their head where they're willing to do something psychotic. She's anti-vax, thinks that COVID was like a government plot and the whole nine. Name a conspiracy theory and she believes it. So that's who we're dealing with. Now, tell me more about how you were canceled for being racist.
They try to cancel me and say that I'm a racist. Got a mean hook, they can't keep me with that jab. Trying to take away my right to go and say this. Well,
you have your right to say this. I just have the right to recognize you as a bag and not give my money to you is all, or my attention. That's it. Freedoms. We both have freedoms. See how that works?
my right to go and say this. Well, listen up, cause this trend is going bad. With the facts. Why they trying to turn Becky into Dan?
There's more trans hate. Why? Why this group? Why did you pick this group out of any minority group to attack? Is it because it's so small that fewer people are like connected to it or know trans people or have like a personal link to the trans community? Is that why? I don't get it.
You get tap. Screw it.
Okay, now I guess she's not milking a cow, but I think he's still milking a cow. Why is he milking a cow? I don't understand.
You get tap. Screw Eminem. I'm Roseanne.
We want you, man.
I love that, dude. I love that to death. Oh, that is just the best. Eminem does not take kindly to call-outs in rap songs, Roseanne. Are you sure you want to go down this road? You know what happened to Machine Gun Kelly, don't you, Roseanne? So fucking stupid. One more time. I gotta hear it. We'll start from him milking the cow.
Screw Eminem. I'm Roseanne.
We want.
Oh my God. I'm sorry. That's too much. Oh my God. I'm gonna cry. This is so funny. All right. Let's keep listening. This is their hook where they talk about daddy coming home. Oh God. There it is in the back of my throat. Gonna throw up.
We want you, man. It's done. Too bad. Ooh, so sad. We want you, man. You cry. We laugh. We raise the flag. So if you're mad about it, go and cry about it. Shave your head and wear a shirt that says you're woke. If you can't handle a lot of facts and make up lies about it, say goodbye to Joe, your daddy's coming home.
God, why? This is just so disturbing.
We won, you mad, it's done, too bad, boo-hoo, so sad, now your daddy's home. We won, you mad, you cry, we laugh, we wave the flag, now your daddy's home. We won, you mad.
Okay, it seems like it repeats from there. That is some disturbing right there. Oh my God. That is too much, bro.
We wave the flag.
Yeah, that's it. We got all the best parts. Oh my God. If there were a God, I would be praying to him that Eminem responds to Roseanne. I hope with everything in my heart that he responds. That would be so funny. Anyway, this guy, Tom McDonald, he's done other songs too, other raps and stuff. In fact, it wasn't even that long ago. He did one with Ben Shapiro. I don't know if you guys remember this. The song is called Facts. It says, Tom McDonald's shirt, for the audio audience, it says, I don't care if I offend you. I'm not offended by anything. You cannot offend me. I've heard it all. Trust me. I'm not offended by anything. I just think that you're a head is all now. So you could just as easily wear a shirt that says, I'm a head, or I don't care that I'm a head or something, and it would make a lot more sense than this. Literally nothing offends me. Okay, and Ben Shapiro got a shirt that says facts in the is this the Dare style? I don't remember. I think this is the Dare style text where it said Dare to keep the kid off drugs, whatever.
They call me offensive, controversial. It's only two genders, boys and girls. They can't cancel my message because I'm the biggest independent rapper in the whole friggin' world.
Oh, I remember now. Yes, I got hit with a copyright thing on this one years ago, if I remember correctly, whenever this came out. Oh, apparently this was January 26, 2024 when this came out. I thought it was a lot older than that. Anyway, yeah, I'm going to try to break this up so I don't get hit with a copyright, whatever, but a copyright claim. But just starting out, he says, you're getting mad I'm hitting you with the facts that there are only two genders? Again, I'm not mad. I just think that you're a head is all.
Message because I'm the biggest independent rapper in the whole friggin' world.
I don't know about that.
The biggest independent rapper in the whole friggin' world. Claim that I'm racist, yeah, all right. I'm not ashamed because I'm white. If every cock
claim that I'm racist, you're right. I'm not ashamed that I'm white. Let's pull up the lyrics and we'll read them. I'll read them as we go. Just play like a few seconds of it and talk about it.
They call me offensive, controversial. It's only two genders, boys and girls. They can't cancel my message because I'm the biggest independent rapper in the whole friggin' world. Claim that I'm racist, yeah, all right. I'm not ashamed because I'm white.
Okay, I'm not ashamed because I'm white. There are only two genders. This is just like showing his obsession with how persecuted he is and being proud of the fact that he's a racist bag, basically, is what he's saying, right? Yes, I am a racist bag. That's what he's saying.
If every Caucasian's a bigot, I guess every Muslim's a terrorist. Every liberal is right. I don't want to talk to folks who don't get it. Go woke, go broke, no hope, it's pathetic. Pro-choice, pronouns, pro-love, you're progressive. But you ain't pro-gun, no one to protect you. Where the American flags at? Remember when people would hang those? They've been taken down. They all been replaced with BLM flags or a rainbow.
All right, so that was the next stanza, I think is what it is. If every Caucasian is a bigot, I don't say that. Nobody believes that every white person is bigoted. Where did you even get that idea? If every Caucasian's a bigot, I guess every Muslim's a terrorist. Again, not something anybody believes. Like, you got gummy bears in your ears? What's wrong with you? You're not listening to the conversations around you? Every liberal is right. I don't want to talk to folks who don't get it. Go woke, go broke, no hope, it's pathetic. Pro-choice, pronouns, pro-love, you're progressive. What? Is he just using buzzwords? But you ain't pro-gun, no one to protect it. Where the American flag's at? I don't understand. Where the American flag's at? Remember when people would hang those? As if people don't hang American flags? What are you talking about? People hang flags all the time. In West Virginia, a lot of people actually, like after George Floyd, I was driving through West Virginia moving some stuff, and there was a house that was flying a Confederate flag, high and proud. So people fly all kinds of flags. I don't know what you're talking about. They've been taken down. They've all been replaced with BLM flags or a rainbow. I simply disagree, good sir.
Same rap, this ain't money causing clothes. We ain't selling drugs, we ain't gonna overdose.
This is the famous part of the song that gets copyright claims the most, so I'm going to split it up. This ain't rap, this ain't money, cars, and clothes. No, this is a song, so it's not like clothing. I don't understand what that means. We ain't selling drugs, we ain't going to overdose. Good for you, me either. That's good to hear, I'm glad.
We ain't pushing guns, ain't promoting stripper poles. We won't turn your sons into thugs or your daughters into hoes.
We're not pushing guns. We're not promoting stripper poles. Okay, you have a cause. That's nice. We won't turn your sons into thugs and your daughters into hoes. Alrighty? Great.
I don't care if I offend you.
Okay, I'm not offended. I just think you're a shithead is all.
I was put here to upset you. You can cry, you can scream, you can riot in the streets, you defunded the police, now there's no one to protect you.
But that didn't happen. He says, I don't care if I offend you. I was put here to upset you. You can cry and you can scream, you can riot in the streets. None of that's happening. You defunded the police. No, they didn't. Nobody defunded the police. Now there's no one to protect you. This is just like delusion land. Is there anything knocking around up there, or is it just air behind those eyes?
I asked myself, what would Ben do?
I asked myself, what would Ben do?
Let's just keep it real facts. Don't care how you feel, man. If you want my pronouns, I'm the man who don't respect. Let's look at this.
Okay, if you want my pronouns, I'm the man who don't respect you. Is man a pronoun? I mean, maybe it is. I thought it was a noun. Somebody help me out. Is this no, it's a noun, right? This is a noun, not a pronoun, isn't it? I mean, the guy can't even get that right, honestly. You know, another ridiculous example, like we're going to hit Ben Shapiro's verse in a second, but Stephen Miller basically wrote into law what a woman is. He said there are only two genders. This is part of an executive order Trump signed. Every person is the gender that they are at the moment of conception or something, but actually, like, everybody starts out basically female, and then, like, later on it forms out into something else. So you're telling me you don't know what a woman is? Like, even in their narrow-minded, like, kind of understanding or whatever, they still don't seem to know. Making fun of everybody for not knowing what a woman is, quote unquote. They have no clue what's going on around them. Anyway, let's listen to Ben Shapiro absolutely kill this.
Let's look at the stats. I've got the facts. My money like Lizzo. My pockets are fat. Homie, I'm epic. Don't be a whap. Dog, it's a yarmulke. Homie, no cap. Look at the graphs. Look at my charts.
Okay, hold on. Let's look at the stats. I've got the facts. No, you don't. My money like Lizzo. My pockets are fat. Wow. You're just calling somebody fat just to be a shithead. Again, I'm not offended. I just think that you're a shithead is all. Great. Homie, I'm epic. Don't be a wap. Dog, it's a yarmulke, homie, no cap. Okay. Look at the graphs. Look at my charts. You're blowing money on strippers and cars.
You're blowing money on strippers and cars.
You're going to prison. I'm on television. Dog, no one knows who you are.
You going to prison. I'm on television. Dogs, no one knows who you are.
Like, who's he even talking to in this scenario?
Keep hating on me on the internet. My comment section all woke Karens. And I make racks off compound interest. Y'all live with your parents. Nikki, take some notes. I just did this for fun. All my people, download this. Let's get a Billboard #1.
It's so bad. That is really bad, what he just did there. That was awful. Oh my God, that was so terrible.
All my people, download this. Let's get a Billboard #1.
It's like a 1990s PSA rap. That was just straight up like embarrassing. Oh my God. I remember listening to this like forever ago. I don't remember it being this cringy. Okay. He said, keep hating on me on the internet. My comment section all woke Karens. And I make racks off compound interest. Y'all live with your parents. Nikki, I'm not sure who Nicki Minaj maybe? Take some notes. I just did this for fun. All my people download this. Let's get a Billboard #1. I don't think they got a #1. What did this reach? Tom MacDonald Facts Billboard chart. Okay, it hit the Billboard Hot 100 at number 16. That's actually surprising that it got so big. That's wow. Damn. It reached #1 on the US iTunes sales chart, but not on Billboard. Okay.
This ain't rap, this ain't money, cars and clothes.
Yeah, we've already heard that part. I don't want to get a copyright strike.
Throw your daughters in the holes. I don't care if I offend.
Yeah, that's the end of it, basically. I asked myself, what would Ben do?
You can cry and you can scream, you can riot in the streets, you defunded the police, now there's no one to protect you.
Anyway, you get the idea. MAGA rap. Oh, it's so bad. How long is this? Do I have more time to talk about something? Let's see, where are we? Okay, we have another second. Let me just, one more MAGA rap song for the laughs. I don't know if you guys remember this. Oh, God. This is another set of MAGA rappers. I can't believe Tom MacDonald wasn't included in this. Jeremy Levy and Forgiato Blow, 2 MAGA rappers, what did they call it? They did a song with Michael Flynn, and it's auto-tuned to hell in like a really, really bad, embarrassing way.
Take all our money, but you can have our soul. You can burn down our buildings.
I don't know about his voice. Maybe that's not auto-tuned. I can't tell. But he does have a really interesting, unique voice. I'll give him that. But again, he's the MAGA rapper, one of them.
And we'll still find a home. We will all stick together. And we'll never surrender. We won't give up our freedom. There were bright lights before it all went to dark.
What the hell is he talking about? By the way, everybody in this is really high profile, very famous. Top right, Forgiato Blow, another MAGA rapper. I don't remember who this guy is, but you guys remember the band The Pussycat Dolls, I think? I believe one of the singers from that is in this.
And their white lies, they divided our hearts in the blink of an eye.
I think this dude's just some pastor or something.
We were all left with scars. Listen to man-made decisions. Should've trusted God.
I think they're talking about COVID. Like, should have trusted God instead of man-made decisions. Like, shouldn't have taken the vaccine or something. Like, get help, people, really. Normalize therapy.
You can take all our money, but you can't have our soul. You could burn down our buildings, and we'll still find a home.
God, that auto-tune, bro. That is rough. And on the right here, this is the Pussycat Dolls singer, I believe.
We will all stick together and we'll never surrender. We won't give up our freedom.
Like, it's so bad, the auto-tune. Wait till he gets to Michael Flynn.
From the shores of California all the way down to the key.
That one was Forgiato Blow, MAGA rapper.
Only he will bring us closer when we fall to our knees.
That's Michael Flynn, dude. I love this to death. I'm sorry. I get so much entertainment out of these people making fools of themselves. I probably shouldn't enjoy it to this degree. This is too much. Oh my God. One more time. Let's listen to Flynn do that auto-tune.
Only he will bring us closer when we fall to our knees.
Oh my God.
And he ripped us from the ground
It was Big Nick.
so that everyone can see that we never lost our freedom. It's in his glory.
Again, auto-tune to hell. And Big Nick is actually like, he's kind of like a rapper. Like, he identifies as a rapper. I'm not sure how big his career is. Not very big. I think he got famous on TikTok, maybe? David Dobrik knew him or something. I don't even know his story. Anyway, absolutely wild.
You can take all our money, but you can't have our soul.
You can burn down our buildings and we'll still find a home.
Ugh, God, it's so bad. That's Liz Crokin, QAnoner, was a journalist at one point and decided to go into QAnon instead. Oh my God, dude. And full-blown QAnon, too. I don't mean a little bit QAnon dipping her toes in. I mean all the way down. Baby, blood drinking, everything.
We will all stick together and we'll never surrender.
We won't give up our freedom.
Yeah, that was...
Oh,
Sorry, that was a deceptively low voice. This is, I think this is Jeremy Levy's wife.
won't give up our freedom. Oh, we are running from left to right. Yeah, we find nothing on either side.
Okay, they keep jumping around, like, to different cuts, and that's really odd. Like, they're jumping a lot for no reason. They're just jump cuts, and it's almost like this guy was unhappy with how he sounded, so he asked if he could record separately, and they just, like, jumped around a bunch so that they could mask that his lips weren't matching the song. Something.
We'll live in a doubt until we all just figure out that only God gives it to us. God gives us freedom. God gives us freedom. We just want this freedom. No, we won't give up our freedom.
Yeah, anyway, that's the song. It's actually a beautiful song if it wasn't so psychotic and unglued from reality. Jeremy Levy is very talented. His voice is very good. And I believe that he produced this song. It's got a great hook. It's got a great beat. It's a top tier song if he wasn't absolutely psychotic, like out of his head, drunk on QAnon and Trumpism. But that kind of like describes basically everybody we've talked about in this episode, right? Including Roseanne. One more for the fans. One more time.
Facts. Why they trying to turn Becky into Dan? You get tap, 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 tap. Screw Eminem. I'm Roseanne.
I will leave you with that. That is the best. Oh my God. All right, tell me what you think in the comments. We'll be right back. Don't forget to check out my Patreon. Also, take a look at my website, owenmorgan.com. I just finished writing a book titled Was Hitler an Atheist? It talks about religions during the Third Reich and how they work together. Catholics, Jehovah's Witnesses, and Protestants. And I even address the lies told by the evangelical world about Bonhoeffer. It's on Audible and Amazon.
Checking in on my friends who are struggling this week. My heart goes out to you. Hope you're doing okay.
This is I believe who is this? A city council woman? Laura Smith is her name. She just sieg heiled to own the libs. This is a shout out to Elon Musk's Sieg Heil, of course.
Thank you for making it happen. Thank you.
Jesus Christ, dude, it's so crazy. Anyway, let me just figure out what she is exactly. I forget now. Toamenson Township Board of Supervisors is what she is. And it doesn't really, there's a campaign out right now to basically report her to the ethics board or whatever, but she retires next year anyway. And that's probably why she felt so comfortable doing a Nazi salute to a gigantic audience. Now, Elon Musk, after his Nazi salute, he said, basically, how can a Zionist be a Nazi? And I'm here to explain that to you. We'll get into it in a second, though. Look at Laura Smith's response. This is on Facebook. I posted a video yesterday poking at the insanity going on. Elon Musk has been a hot topic. The Anti-Defamation League stated, while it was an awkward gesture, it was not a Nazi salute. Yeah, that's a Zionist organization. I want to talk about what that is and why they would defend a Nazi like that. We all saw what happened. We watched him. Sieg Heil, okay?
Happened. Thank you.
That is a Sieg Heil. A textbook example of it. I'm not going to let them twist this into anything other than what it is. When I say them, I mean Elon Musk, Laura Smith, and others. Is a Nazi salute. As 1984 says, the most important thing is that you don't believe your lying eyes. Something to that effect. Anyway, we'll get to the ADL in a second. Just keep listening to her response. These folks will not accept that. So anyone who does not believe as they do is wrong. And now they think I should be canceled. They're calling for me to apologize and resign. Apologize for what? My heart goes out to you? Tim Walz did exactly that. Watch the video. It's out there. But no one had an issue there. All the Democratic leaders have similar photos out there, but no one has an issue. Wake up. These people do not want you to think for yourselves. They want you to believe what they tell you, and if you step out of line, they'll come for you. Somebody responds, crazy politics these days, kind of like my personal life trying to talk to my little sister again. I just can't figure out who to trust, so I just rely on my gut, and in my gut, I'm a middle-of-the-pack political viewpoint. Okay, well, you're just wrong if you stand for this. All right, she says, this is a my heart goes out to you gesture by Elon Musk. Well, no, it wasn't. And you know why I say that? Because we have a video of Elon Musk giving us a my heart goes out to you gesture. This is Elon Musk saying, my heart goes out to you, to a crowd, juxtaposed with his Sieg Heil. They don't look the same. They do not look the same. Those are two different gestures. Somebody said, well, he's autistic. I'm going to say what Ambien told Roseanne when she said she was Ambien tweeting, and that's why she was racist. I'm going to say the same thing that they said to Roseanne. Just like racism is not a side effect of Ambien, saluting Hitler or doing the Hitler salute is not a side effect of autism. That's a side effect of you being a shithead. There are videos and pictures of Tim Walz doing a Sieg Heil. No, there aren't. There are no images or anything of AOC doing this or any of that. It's made up. We're going to touch on some of those things, but let me just show you one example. This is an account named End Wokeness. I believe it's Jack Posobiec, but nobody really knows who it is for sure. End Wokeness posted this image of Taylor Swift sticking her hand out. It's fake. This is a fake image. This didn't happen. She waved to a crowd with her left hand. They edited her left hand to be down by her side and made it her right hand that she was sticking up like a Hitler salute, because it's the right hand that you would do it with. It's an edited fake image. Elon Musk retweets it. Somebody says, my God, not her too. This is the actual video. She sticks her hand out. She kisses her left hand. Notice her left hand, blows a kiss and waves with her left hand. and it was modified. So no, there isn't a video of Taylor Swift doing it. There isn't a video of Tim Walz doing it or any of that other stuff. But even if there were video of them looking like they're doing the exact same salute as Elon, even if there were video of that, AOC, Tim Walz, Taylor Swift, they don't have any positive views about Nazis. Elon Musk does have positive views about Nazis. Yeah, Elon Musk said, apparently I'm a Zionist and a Nazi. How is that possible? Let's just talk about it. If you're unfamiliar, a Zionist is a person that believes that Jews should go to Israel and control it as their own state, an ethno-religious state controlled for Jews, by Jews, and nobody else. And the more extreme you get in this mindset, the more racist you become. Like, no Arabs, no Chinese, nobody that isn't ethnically Jewish. Okay? There are two types of Republicans out there today when it comes to, like, Israel. There's the Zionist kind, like Mike Huckabee, who will do anything for Israel, like even give them nuclear weapons if that's what it took, just because they believe that part of the deal is Israel has to exist and a great war is going to start in Israel, and then the end comes. Like he has to appear on the steps of the Temple Mount, basically, before the end comes. But the temple doesn't exist. There's a mosque over top of it. Al-Aqsa Mosque is on the Temple Mount. And tearing down the Al-Aqsa Mosque would mean a war the likes of which we have never seen. Christian world, Jewish world versus the Muslim world. It would be really devastating and ugly. So that's the kind of the Christian Zionist viewpoint. And then the other type of right-winger are people like Stu Peters and his friend John Miller, who he's talking to here.
They have to say these outlandish things to make up for the fact that if it weren't for this sort of ridiculous, cartoonish death narrative that we've been sold, a lot of people would be looking at the 1930s through 1940s saying, not only does this make a lot of sense, not only does this kind of all add up and history play itself out in the way that we'd expect it to, but there's a lot of similarities to today. And you can't afford to have people start to make those connections. So they come in with this just outlandish narrative,
talking about the Holocaust, outlandish narrative,
where if you put it in a movie, people would say, I didn't like that movie because I just thought it was a little too cartoonish. I didn't think it was realistic. And that's the narrative we've been sold. And to make Hitler out to be this obscene monster, that's the only way they can essentially remedy this story so that you can say it's clear who the bad guys were and it's clear who the good guys were. Because when you take that part out of the narrative, then it's not really as clear who the evil ones are.
That's right.
So you have to make them evil in order to sell people this story. And now, just as popular culture wise, very clear who the evil one is. Obviously, the evil one is Hitler, and very clear who the good guys are. It's clearly, the Jewish people and the Allies who came in to defeat Hitler. But is that really what the story is?
Mm-hmm. Don't you dare question it. But the writing is on the wall.
What an absolutely psychotic mindset to be in. Notice he did some like denial, like this isn't completely accurate or whatever, but primarily his argument is that this isn't all bad. He did the right thing. He was doing the right thing. It wasn't saying that, well, if he did do the things that you said, no, he endorses those ideas, Nazi ideas. So there are two types of people on the right, the Christian right. There are Zionists and there are people like this. The thing is, the Zionists are also like this by and large. As Elon said, apparently I'm a Zionist and a Nazi. How's that possible? What is a Zionist? There's a guy named Victor Klemperer in the 20s, 30s, 40s. He was what one might call a privileged Jew in Germany. He fought in World War I and he had medals, and as such was one of the very few exemptions from most of, from executions basically in Germany. So he lives in Germany with his wife, who was Aryan, quote unquote, and he stuck it out to the very end, writing a diary the whole time. He wrote about how he owned a shop with like a house, and the government took his shop and house and gave them to an Aryan couple or whatever, and stuck him into a little one-room place with 40 other people. They were literally sleeping on top of each other. It was so cramped. One bathroom. Eventually, they took his typewriter, so he had to handwrite all of his diary entries and everything. He stuck it out to the end. And he, in his diary entries, he wrote about Zionism. He wrote about, like, what these people wanted and who they were. And I just want to, like, read an excerpt from that. You know why he wrote about them? Because the Zionists made a deal with Hitler, a treaty, effectively. So Victor Klemperer, in this book, this is Richard J. Evans' book, The Third Reich in Power, and it's on page 567. It says, one such woman was Ava, wife of Victor Klemperer, who stood by him through all the vicissitudes, I've never heard that word before, of the 1930s. As a war veteran and the husband of an Aryan, he was still entitled to keep his job as a professor of French literature at Dresden's Technical University, but he was removed from examining. He was unable to find a publisher for his latest book, and his teaching was so severely restricted that attendance at his lectures fell to single figures, and he felt in danger of being made redundant. He was dismayed still further by some of his Jewish friends' continuing illusions about the regime, quote unquote. All around him, Jewish colleagues were being dismissed, and young Jewish families he knew were emigrating to Palestine. At this point in time, it wasn't, they hadn't closed the doors yet. There's a moment in time when Germany, they were trying to push Jews out, get them out of Europe, and then they closed the doors and said, we don't want them to leave anymore, and opened, the camps to do psychotic stuff. So this is like in the lead up to all of that psychotic stuff happening. Again, he survived because he was like in a privileged position being a war veteran. Anyway, it says Jewish colleagues were being dismissed, and young Jewish families he knew were emigrating to Palestine. As a German nationalist, he was shocked. One quick note here. German nationalists were completely out of their heads on being German. They were basically like Nazis, minus some of the ideology. And nearly everybody was like a nationalist in Germany at the time. Anyway, Victor Klemperer was a German nationalist. He believed Germany uniquely had a right to rule Europe and nobody else. Ideally, the world. Anyway, the book says, as a German nationalist, he was shocked by the extent to which other Jewish friends were taking on a more Jewish identity and losing their Germanness. He considered Zionism little better than Nazism. He saw his Jewish friends emigrating to Palestine, but had no thought of going there himself. Anyone who goes there is exchanging nationalism and narrowness for nationalism and narrowness. Quote unquote. That's from Victor Klemperer, what he wrote in his book in the 30s. In his diary, I mean. Anyone who goes there is exchanging nationalism and narrowness for nationalism and narrowness. And in any case, he felt he could not adapt to another life at his age. He wrote, a useless creation of excessive culture. Anyway, the point is that Jews in Germany at the time viewed Zionists as far-right extremist nationalists that were just as extreme and psychotic as the Nazis in a different direction. And they were correct. There were groups at the time, Zionist groups, that were they're Jewish cults, like full-blown extremist, violent Jewish cults out of their heads, drunk on nationalism. And they were the ones who made a deal with Hitler. Let me read one more section. This is 10 pages later, I believe. This is on page 557. No, I'm sorry, 10 pages earlier than Victor Klemperer's account. It says, as Europeans, most of them preferred to stay in another country on the same continent. 73% of 1933's Jewish immigrants remained within Europe, while only 8% traveled overseas to destinations such as the United States. In 1933, despite the relative weakness of Zionism in Germany, no fewer than 19% settled in Palestine. By the way, at the time it was Palestine. There was no, like, Israel. But they went to Palestine to live on what was called kibbutzes, I believe. They're basically little communes. They kind of live in little groups together. And by the late 40s, after World War II wrapped up and everything, I believe 1947, they made deals with outside governments, Czechoslovakia being one of them, to be supplied with guns. And they started a full-blown war and claimed territory in the name of Israel. It was called the Nakba, I believe. I'll just double check on that. Yeah, it was, it's the mass displacement and dispossession of Palestinians during the 1948 Arab-Israeli War. It's a Nakba. Ethnic cleansing, basically. The Zionists in 1948 were out of their heads, drunk on nationalism and extremism, to the degree that the Nazis were, according to Victor Klemperer. And that's who controls Israel today. People with that ideology. In fact, Christians are in favor of Zionism, as aforementioned, because they want Jesus to appear. So, for example, Joe Biden has said that he's a Zionist multiple times. I think that Biden is a lot more reasonable than some of the absolutely out of their head psychotic people that are in favor of Zionism. But, that's still bad. That's still absolutely terrible. Zionism is horrific and ugly and a death cult. Anyway, let's keep reading. Altogether, 52,000 German Jews went there between 1933 and 1939 to Palestine. A significant reason for this surprisingly high number lay in the fact that representatives of the Zionist movement in Germany and Palestine had signed a pact with the Nazi government on August 17th, 1933. August 17th, 1933. There was a big Jewish boycott on April 1st, 1933. It was called, I think it was just called the April boycott. Anyway, there was a boycott on April 1st, 1933, that very clearly outlined what the next 12 years or so were going to be about, or 14 years. It was an anti-Jewish boycott where their storefronts were vandalized. They were, there was rioting, there was looting. They had Jews spray painted across their storefronts and everything. And it got so ugly that in an age without social media, reports got out outside of Germany about how ugly and horrific this massive riot against the Jews on April 1st. There were like newspaper reports with pictures of like dead people from, the riots and everything. And Hitler said it's just atrocity propaganda. So the real ugly stuff started in April 1933. I mean, it had been ramping up before that, but that was a clear moment of holy shit, this is what's happening. Everybody knew. 6 months later, or 4 months later, Zionists made a deal with Hitler. They knew what he was about. They knew he wanted them dead. They made a deal with them. Despite that, you know why they got along enough to make deals with each other? Because they were both nationalist nutcase ideologies, completely out of their heads, both of them, both Zionists and Nazis. Anyway, keep listening here. So the Zionists made a pact with the Nazi government August 17th, 1933, known as the Havara Transfer Agreement. It was personally endorsed by Hitler and committed the German Ministry of Economics to allowing Jews who left for Palestine to transfer a significant portion of their assets there, about 140 million Reichsmarks all told, while those who left for other countries had to leave much of what they owned behind. So the Zionists made a deal with Hitler that got people to go to Palestine instead of other countries. Outside of this book, there's another book, And the Witnesses Were Silent, that talks about how Hitler funded out of his own personal money mission trips, Christian mission trips to Palestine to set up shop there and basically prod the locals into hating Jews as much as he did, to talk about like how Jews are ruining everything and all that other junk. Again, and the witnesses were silent. Wolfgang Gerlach, if you're curious about the source. Anyway, this says, the reasons for the Nazis' favored treatment of immigrants to Palestine were complex. On one hand, they regarded the Zionist movement as a significant part of the world Jewish conspiracy they dedicated their lives to destroying. On the other, helping Jewish emigration to Palestine might mitigate international criticism of anti-Semitic measures at home. Moreover, and crucially, the principal aim of the Nazis in these years was to drive the Jews out of Germany and preferably out of Europe too. For all the murderous violence they meted out to them, they did not at this stage intend, still less plan, to exterminate all of Germany's Jews. A Germany free of Jews would, in Nazi eyes, be a stronger Germany, fit to take on the rest of Europe and then the world. Only when that happened would the Nazis turn to solving what they thought of as the Jewish problem on a world scale. The Zionists were prepared to do a deal with the Nazis if the result was a strengthening of the Jewish presence in Palestine. German Jews would bring much-needed skills and experience with them. They would also, many leading Zionists thought, bring money and capital for investment. Quick side note here, another reason that Hitler wanted, or another reason Hitler was okay with them going to Palestine rather than other countries is because they were out of Europe. Technically, now they're in, like, Asia. I believe that's... I'm not sure if that's part of, like... I don't know. Like, the continents are not split up logically, but I think that's part of Asia. Like, India is part of Asia. I believe the Middle East is also part of Asia, technically, the Asian continent. Hitler would have had to have traveled through, like, 16 different countries to reach Palestine, or he would have had to have an aircraft carrier, and he didn't have that at the time, to cross through the sea to reach Palestine. So they were, by and large, safe from Hitler in Palestine for the most part. I think he just wanted to take over Europe. That was his aspiration for that moment. Eventually, he was going to move into, Russia, obviously, and his ultimate aspirational goals were to split a lot of that area with Japan and so on and so forth. But that was the plan. That's why he was pushing them into Palestine, because he wanted to take Europe. And he just wanted to ethnically cleanse it first rather than genocide. In return, the Havara Transfer Agreement, which formalized these arrangements, provided for the export of much-needed goods, such as citrus fruit from Palestine to Germany, as part of the exchange. On both sides, therefore, this was above all a marriage of convenience, but it was increasingly disputed within the Nazi regime itself. This is not least the consequence of the establishment of the Jewish Affairs Division of the SS Security Service in 1935. One of the principal sections of the organization, it was led by an increasingly radical group of young officers, including Dieter... Wait, I gotta get this right. I can't read it exactly. I think it's Dieter Wisklency, Theodor Danaker, and Adolf Eichmann. These men became progressively more anxious that encouraging Jews to go to Palestine would accelerate the formation of a Jewish state there, with dangerous consequences for Germany in the long run, or so they thought. Anyway, the point is that to kind of circle back around, respond to Elon Musk, what he said, apparently I'm a Zionist and a Nazi. Yes, they go hand in hand. They're similar ideologies, which is why you see things like the ADL defending a Nazi salute. The Anti-Defamation League. This is a delicate moment. It's a new day, yet so many are on edge. Our politics are inflamed. Social media only adds to the anxiety. It seems that Elon Musk made an awkward gesture in a moment of enthusiasm. Not a Nazi salute, but again, we appreciate that people are on edge. It was a Nazi salute. That's clear as day. Couldn't possibly be clearer. The ADL is a Zionist organization. It goes hand in hand with Nazism. They are two sides of the same coin. There are mirror ideologies. Nazis are obsessed with the Aryan race. Jews are obsessed with the Jewish race in the exact same way. It's also why you get things like Netanyahu defending Elon Musk in this. Netanyahu, the prime minister of Israel, claims Musk falsely smeared over claims he made Nazi salute. Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu has backed Elon Musk over accusations he made. Over the accusation. Okay, this isn't originally in English, I don't think. Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu has backed Elon Musk over accusation he made a Nazi salute, claiming he, the billionaire ex-owner, is being falsely smeared. In a post on the vocal supporter and ally of U.S. President Donald Trump's social media platform, Netanyahu claimed Musk as a great friend of Israel. He added, Elon Musk is being falsely smeared. Elon is a great friend of Israel. He visited Israel over the October 7th massacre, in which Hamas terrorists committed the worst atrocity against the Jewish people since the Holocaust. Nazism and Zionism go hand in hand. When you recognize that, when you understand that they are basically the exact same ideology, but toward different ends, it doesn't surprise you anymore to find that the ADL and Netanyahu defended that. They're doing exactly what the Jews for Germans, or the Jews for Hitler group did. I forget the name of it now. Jews for Hitler. 1935, it was disbanded. They existed for 2 years while deportations occurred, while labor camps are set up where they're forcing people into slave labor. They continue to support them. Same thing. Whatever furthers their goal of a new ethno-state. Like I said before, like if AOC or Tim Walz or Kamala Harris or whoever else, if they supported Nazi ideals and they stuck their hand up like that, waving or whatever, it'd cross my mind. I start wondering. But they don't at all. Elon Musk, on the other hand, does support Nazi ideals. Amid Nazi salute scandal, Elon Musk joins German far-right AfD event via video. I don't actually know this website, but I know that this happened because I've seen it written in other places, so let's just talk about it. Elon Musk has caused waves once again, this time with his surprise video address to a rally of Germany's far-right Alternative for Deutschland, which is AfD, party on January 25th. They're the new Nazi party, effectively. Being a Nazi is illegal in Germany, so they come up as close as they can to the line, and some even cross it and are currently under investigation by the German government right now, like a lot of the leadership is, for their ties to like the Nazi ideology. They're the new Nazi party. The AfD even releases ads where people are sticking their right hands up in a sieg, heil fashion, in a veiled way, touching each other's hands to form out a home. It's pretty clear what they're doing. It's the new Nazi party, and Elon Musk endorsed them. This marks his second public appearance in support of the controversial party within a fortnight, prompting further debate on his growing influence in European politics. Who uses fortnights as a measurement? Really? Okay, whatever. Musk's message was clear. He believes the AfD represents the best hope for Germany's future. It gets worse, if you can believe it. It gets worse. Listen to this next paragraph. It makes it pretty clear what's happening. A call to preserve German identity. Speaking to a crowd of 4,500 AfD supporters in Halle, Eastern Germany, Musk emphasized the importance of preserving German culture and values. Literally, the thing that Hitler said he was trying to do. Preserve German culture and values. Make Germany great again. That's what they said. Make Germany great again. Really. The reason I know so much about it is because I wrote a book about it. Was Hitler an atheist, if you're curious? I had a book, but I don't have it over here right now. Anyway, check it out. Amazon and Audible, if you're interested. It's good to be proud of German culture, says Elon Musk, German values, and not to lose that in some sort of multiculturalism that dilutes everything. Use of the word dilute here is too on the nose. Hitler was obsessed with the idea that Jews were diluting the Aryan race. Aryan is fake. I'm sure I don't need to say that, but I'm going to say it just in case. Again, I wrote this whole thing about it. It's in chapter 1 of my book. Aryanism was this belief that that white people are this super race. They are supermen, literally. Übermensch is what they called them. They were stronger, smarter, more cunning, more powerful, more everything, more attractive. And the reason that we don't see them as supermen who can lift 1,000 pounds who can, do all this other crazy stuff, and IQs of 200. The reason that we don't see that anymore is because the Jews intentionally came into Germany with the goal of diluting the bloodline, poisoning the blood, quote unquote. That's what Hitler said. And they believed that there was an eternal struggle between the Semite and the Aryan. And it's all nonsense. It's all pseudo-scientific, pseudo-historical trash. But this is what Hitler talked about. And Elon is using the exact words that Hitler used. Multiculturalism dilutes everything. I mean, Trump famously said that immigrants are poisoning the blood of America. That is word for word from Hitler. Poisoning the blood. That's what he said. Musk's words were well received by the crowd, but they stirred unease among critics who viewed his remarks as aligning with far-right ideologies. It's more than far-right ideologies. It's Hitler's ideology, directly. His speech highlighted the need for more self-determination for Germany and expressed a desire for less influence from European Union authorities, referring to Brussels in a critical light. Musk further reinforced his endorsement of the party by stating, "I'm very excited for the AfD. I think you're really the best hope for Germany. Fight for a great future for Germany." He also apparently tried to get people to forget about the past, forget about the guilt that they would have over what happened in the Holocaust. He says children should not be guilty of the sins of their parents, let alone their grandparents, suggesting the country was overly focused on its historical guilt. I agree that they shouldn't feel guilty for what their grandparents did, but they shouldn't forget what their grandparents did. They should repeat it every generation. They should teach it in schools, and they do in Germany. They do. They teach this. They teach what happened. The people alive today were not responsible for what happened, but they do have a responsibility to make sure everybody knows where it went wrong and how to prevent it again in the future. Elon Musk is trying to short circuit that, knowing what was wrong with it and preventing it in the future. He's trying to short circuit it when he says they should not be guilty of the sins of their parents. It's something that everybody agrees with. Nobody is arguing that. Nobody feels that way. We're just teaching the history to prevent it from happening again. The point is that Elon Musk is a Nazi. It would be weird if he wasn't a Nazi at all and he espoused left-leaning positions rather than Nazi positions and did that hand gesture. But he is a Nazi, clearly. I mean, we don't have to wonder. He's just telling us. He's telling us about his political ideals and all that stuff, telling the AfD about it. He very obviously is a Nazi. He's not hiding it either, really. I don't know why anybody has any problem believing this. I mean, that's not the only thing. I don't want to go through the whole list of stuff that Elon Musk has done that shows that he's a Nazi. There's plenty. Posting a bunch of stuff about Nazi conspiracy theories. He's just repeating Nazi conspiracy theories, white genocide stuff, Aryan genocide stuff. It's all of the same stuff that was repeated in the 40s and the 50s and in the 30s and the 40s and is repeated today by neo-Nazis. It's all the same stuff. Now, I got to tell you, I think we're watching an example of something called the fire hose of falsehoods. It's a propaganda technique that was maybe invented by Putin, probably not invented by him, but it was kind of coined by him, or it was named after what he was doing in 2014 in Ukraine. He invaded Ukraine, parts of Ukraine, in 2014 while Obama was president. Crimea, I think he took. I remember it at the time. And he used the fire hose of falsehoods propaganda technique. Here's how it works. You repeat as many lies as you possibly can through as many outlets as possible and see which ones stick. For example, with the recent Ukraine stuff, Putin spread that they were looking for labs in Ukraine where Americans were working with Ukrainians to produce bioweapons to use against Russia. He claimed that they were trying to fight Nazis, and he claimed that they were trying to save child trafficking victims. Those are just 3 super basic examples. And he repeats all of these nonsensical claims as much as he possibly can through every network, at RT, every TV channel, every website that will reprint it or talk about it or whatever. Create the controversy, make people talk about it as much as possible so that everybody hears it. As Hitler said, distill these things into single sentence slogans that everybody hears. Not everybody will hear the entire propaganda line, but everybody will get the sentiment. That's the goal of it. They want everybody to get the idea that's behind it. Even the stupidest person in Germany, for example, should be able to get it. It's that simple, and it's repeated that much. The fire hose of falsehoods. In my opinion, that's what we're watching unfold with Elon Musk and the Nazi salute. They're repeating as many lies as possible through as many outlets as they can, boosting Twitter accounts that say things like, it wasn't a Nazi salute, it was the Roman salute. He's doing the Roman salute, which, by the way, is the Nazi salute. I don't see how that, absolves him or whatever, gives him an out. I don't see how that, that solves anything for him. And then there's the classic, he was showing us, giving his heart to the crowd. He's given us a heart symbol to the crowd, He wasn't given a Nazi salute, he was given a heart to the crowd. Repeating as many lies as humanly possible through as many outlets as he can. Fire hose of falsehoods. I believe that that's what's happening right now. Anyway, I hope that I have dispelled any notion that he was not giving a Nazi salute. It's very clear that he was. I hope that we can now see why it's destructive, at the very least, if for no other reason than because it's a destructive ideology and it's spreading to other people, like Laura Smith, for example. This was intentional by Elon Musk, and we cannot accept it. I don't believe in the death penalty. I don't wish death on anybody. But Nazis, full-blown Nazis, are testing that idealistic position. It's pushing it to its limit. When you're dealing with people who literally are trying to imprison others, use them as slave labor, or even kill others, depending on how extreme the Nazi or Zionist ideology are. When you're dealing with people like that, it's testing it, it's pushing it to its limits. So one more time to wrap up, Zionism is effectively the same as Nazism. One focuses on the Aryan man and making him out to be this big, incredible thing and trying to stop anybody else from diluting the blood. And the other focuses on the Jewish man. Two sides of the same coin. Tell me what you think in the comments. We'll be right back. Don't forget to check out my Patreon. Also, take a look at my website, owenmorgan.com. I just finished writing a book titled Was Hitler an Atheist? It talks about religions during the Third Reich and how they work together. Catholics, Jehovah's Witnesses, and Protestants. And I even address the lies told by the evangelical world about Bonhoeffer. It's on Audible and Amazon. Most people already know that Elon Musk threw up a full-blown Nazi salute. Here's a video of him throwing up the Nazi salute, juxtaposed with him saying his heart goes out to the crowd. This is what happened. Nazi salute, heart goes out. Anyway, Ben Shapiro reacted to it. I want to listen to his take on it, because he kind of considers himself the arbiter of what is anti-Semitic.
I gotta say, I have a pretty high radar for Nazism. Like a bit of a stake in this particular game. I feel like I can spot some Nazis when I see them. My Nazi radar does not go off around Elon Musk. You know why my Nazi radar doesn't go off around Elon Musk? Because he's not a Nazi.
He is. He is. If you're curious about why I say that, look at the video that released previously on this channel. I'm not sure what it'll be titled, but I go through the entire breakdown of what Zionism is and how we know that Elon Musk is, in fact, a Nazi. He supports the new Nazi party. Let's just leave the salute out of it. He supports the new Nazi party in Germany, the AfD. He retweets and talks about a Nazi conspiracy theory, Aryan genocide or white genocide. He is a Nazi. I don't understand how people can avoid this conclusion. But the ADL of all people came out and said it wasn't a Nazi salute, and Benjamin Netanyahu said the same thing.
In fact, Elon and I, 1 year ago, this week, were in Auschwitz together.
Yeah, you know why he went to Auschwitz with him? Because Elon was trying to rehabilitate his image after allowing Nazis back onto the platform, X or Twitter or whatever, after unbanning their accounts, the accounts of full-blown, self-avowed, Hitler-loving Nazis. People were horrified by that. Big advertiser boycott. They called it cancel culture. And then Elon tries to rehabilitate his image by going to Auschwitz with Ben Shapiro, of all people. Elon Musk wanted to stand next to his token that he wanted to carry around with him.
Visiting Auschwitz together. We did an event where he spoke about anti-Semitism and how evil it is and the evils of Hitlerianism. What is wrong with you people? And the answer, of course, is they know better. Of course they know better. Of course they know better.
Look, if you're walking into this as the very first video you've ever seen of mine, which is statistically pretty likely, probably. Let me just go one more time. Just going to take a look at a couple of things here. First and foremost, Elon Musk has been endorsing the new Nazi party, the AfD, in Germany. It's illegal to be a Nazi in Germany, but they go right up to the line. And in fact, some of them cross the line and are now under investigation by the German government for it. Musk was on a Twitter Spaces thing, I think, with the AfD leadership, and Elon Musk emphasized the importance of preserving German culture and values. This is an article on it. It's good to be proud of German culture, German values, and not to lose that in some sort of multiculturalism that dilutes everything. Literally what Hitler said. Make Germany great again, quote unquote. That is what Hitler said. Not to mention the Nazi salute, which is the subject of Ben Shapiro's video in the first place. Yeah, here's another example of him being a Nazi. This is on CBS News. Elon Musk, the world's richest person and owner of X, the social media network formerly known as Twitter, called an anti-Semitic post on the platform the actual truth. This was released November 16th, 2023. The comment stemmed from an X user's post that claimed Jews have been pushing the exact kind of dialectical hatred against whites that they claim to want people to stop using against them, quote unquote. Musk responded, "You have said the actual truth," while also criticizing the Anti-Defamation League, an advocacy group that works to combat hate against Jewish people. God, this is one of the wildest things, because when this advertiser boycott took place on Twitter because of what Elon Musk was doing, he tried to sue the ADL. Do you remember that? He tried to sue them for loss of revenue or something because they organized a boycott against X because of all the Nazi stuff on there. And now they're actually defending Elon Musk. They said it totally wasn't a Nazi salute. Are you kidding me? Anyway, it says the ADL unjustly attacks majority of the West, despite the majority of the West supporting the Jewish people in Israel. This is because they cannot, by their own tenets, criticize the minority groups who are their primary threat, Musk tweeted. Here you go. Jewish communities have been pushing the exact kind of dialectical hatred against whites they claim to want people to stop using against them. That's the tweet. Musk has targeted the ADL previously, threatening in September to sue the group for purportedly accusing both him and X of anti-Semitism, claiming that the ADL's actions had led advertisers to abandon the social network. Anyway, I've just given you two examples, two super basic ones. Let me see. I think I have more. White House criticizes Elon Musk over hideous anti-Semitic lie, November 17th, 2023. That was the actual truth tweet again. That's what that was in reference to. Zionism, the belief that Jews should control territory in the Middle East and to name it Israel, that territory is Palestine. It was always Palestine. It's been Palestine for a long time. They started a war in the Middle East and created an ethno-state in the Middle East. I'm not in favor of ethno-states. Zionists are in favor of an ethno-state, an apartheid state. And even Albert Einstein knew that. He was a German Jewish guy, Einstein was. This is him commenting on Zionism. Here's the background on this letter from Einstein. Having appeared as a witness before the Anglo-American Committee of Inquiry, established in 1945 to consider the issue of Jewish immigration to Palestine, Einstein reviews and explains his testimony. He went solely to act in favor of our just cause, he says. He believes in Palestine as a Jewish homeland, but not as a separate state. He feels the Zionists, by asking for more, are taking an intransigent position which will only damage our cause, quote unquote. What he would like to see is a secured binational status in Palestine with free immigration, adding that it defies common sense to ask to be given the political rule over Palestine where 2/3 of the population are not Jewish. Here's the transcript from his letter. Dear Sir, I have served as a witness before the Anglo-American Inquiry Commission on Palestine for the sole purpose to act in favor of our just cause. But it is, of course, impossible to prevent distortion by the press. I am in favor of Palestine being developed as a Jewish homeland, but not as a separate state. It seems to me a matter for simple common sense that we cannot ask to be given the political rule over Palestine where 2/3 of the population are not Jewish. What we can and should ask is a secured binational status in Palestine with free immigration. If we ask more, we are damaging our own cause, and it's difficult for me to grasp that our Zionists are taking such an intransigent position which can only impair our cause. They're extremists. That's what Einstein was saying. Zionists were extremists in 1945 when this was written, I believe. Yeah, 1946. I don't know how it gets any clearer than that. Okay, so let's continue listening to Ben Shapiro make excuses for a literal Nazi. He is an actual Nazi, not a pretend Nazi, not like I don't like his political views and I think he supports systemic racism. He's a Nazi, Hitler-loving, sieg heiling Nazi. Like right here. Doesn't get clearer. Let's listen to him defend this Nazi.
And the answer, of course, is they know better. Of course they know better. Of course they know better. No one honestly believes that Elon Musk was giving a Nazi salute, but they have to characterize their opponents as Nazis. It's the only way. It's the only way.
I don't characterize anybody as a Nazi unless they're actually a Nazi. He is actually a Nazi. White nationalism and Nazism are the same, basically. In the 30s, the Nazi ideology revolved around this belief that Aryans, quote unquote, were supermen, Ubermensch. They were smarter and faster and stronger and everything than everybody else. IQs of 200, bench press 1,000 pounds, that kind of deal. But their blood was diluted by Jews, and that's why they're just, normal, as strong as everyone else. That was the belief system. White nationalism is the same. White nationalism in America. So, take the KKK, for example. Hitler used America's race laws as a model for the Nuremberg laws and stuff, generally, for the things that he was doing in Germany. Hitler liked the American model. In fact, there's a book about it, The American Model. It's not a biased book. It's an academic book. There's no bias to be found in it anywhere. Anyway, white nationalists are Nazis, particularly today. That's absolutely true today. They're the same. In South Africa, it was controlled by white nationalists up until, I think, 1991 or 93. I don't remember. It was an apartheid state. It was separated into white only and black only. They weren't allowed to get married. They weren't allowed to drink from the same water fountains or anything. It was like America was, not even that long ago. Elon Musk grew up in that. He grew up in this apartheid environment where black people were genetically inferior to white people in their heads, and where there was a white genocide. They were trying to take out the white people delusionally. Is it really surprising to anybody that he came here and grew up and still believed this stuff? Is this a surprise, really? Of course he's a Nazi.
This, by the way, has been the tactic of the entire post-World War II left. Anybody who is not a communist is a Nazi. That is the way this entire political game is run. Here's John Stewart.
I'm neither a Nazi nor a communist, so no, that's just not true.
John Stewart doing this routine.
John Stewart, by the way, is Jewish.
What's amazing is hearing people like John Stewart supposedly speaking truth to power, by which we mean just parroting whatever the left-wing talking point of the day is.
Okay. Charitably, I'm going to say that was just an awkward, my heart goes out to you gesture.
Except for, I'm sorry, I can't let that stand. We have a video of Elon doing the "my heart goes out to you" gesture. That exists. We know what that looks like, and that's not it.
Any of you might have done it like this. You know, even Taylor Swift has done that, you know, my heart, but she almost never does the goes out to you. Like,
I appreciate that I'm watching somebody watch somebody talking about something.
Just always stays with, but you know, listen, it's nerve-wracking day. You're not normally a public speaker. It's a one-off gesture. Please try not to use it again.
And we did it a second time.
You really want to make sure the people in the back see it, I guess. I'm just going to be generous and say maybe that was Elon's attempt at dabbing on the haters. I don't.
It was very clearly a Hitler salute. It does not get any clearer than that, honestly. And the fact that we're watching people try to justify it tells me that this is like a fire hose of falsehoods propaganda campaign. It's not, it can't be clearer, honestly.
Just absolutely ridiculous. These people are absolutely ridiculous. Representative Robert Garcia did the same thing. This became the talking point of the day on the left. This is what you're relegated to. You lost an election. You can't separate off from your own terrible radical ideas. And so you're relegated to calling Elon Musk, one of the most philo-Semitic people on earth, a Nazi. Here is Representative Robert Garcia doing this insane routine.
That was a Nazi salute, and he didn't just do it one time. He did it twice for emphasis. And if you talk to anyone, that's historians, folks who actually study the Nazis and study this actual kind of disgusting display, have been very clear that what that was. And he should not just apologize, he should be condemned for those kinds of actions. So gross, disgusting, but more of what we can expect, I think, from Elon Musk and Donald Trump.
I don't even know what to say to these people. And it's senators, too. It's Senator Chris Murphy.
It's honestly disgusting to me that this guy would sell out everybody that suffered in the Holocaust. FYI, ex-Jehovah's Witness here, grew up hearing about Jehovah's Witnesses in the Holocaust and how they were treated. Wrote a whole book about this subject, including about Jehovah's Witnesses and how they were treated in the Holocaust, how they smuggled literature into and out of concentration camps, how they got templates for the literature brought in and Bibles and matchbook-sized magazines smuggled into people's wooden leg or like cakes. Like, I am very deeply invested in this subject because the people that I knew growing up in this were victims of this whole thing. So Ben Shapiro is not the only one with like an emotional tie to this subject. And it's disgusting to me that he is selling them out. The people that suffered, the people that died, were murdered. The people who were forced to work as slave labor. He's selling them out by defending an actual, real, literal Nazi. Somebody that believes in the ideals that Hitler espoused. Defending this person. How do you live with yourself? How do you sleep at night? Is this like, am I the only one disturbed by this? This is Zionism, which is just as extreme as Nazism. We are looking at two sides of the same coin. Zionists defending Nazis for their own personal interests. That is fucking disgusting right there.
Senator Chris Murphy brought this up in a hearing with Elise Stefanik, who is going to be the UN ambassador for the United States. Elise Stefanik has been one of the loudest and most vocal opponents of anti-Semitism in the United States Congress. She made a lot of headlines last year when she went after various woke Ivy League deans who are defending anti-Semitism on their campuses. So Chris Murphy decides, in all of his idiotic glory, to ask her about Elon Musk and his Nazi salute.
Okay, now, before going any further, I talked about this in my previous video. I do want to touch on it again just for a second. There's a guy named Victor Klemperer. He was what one might call a privileged Jewish person in Germany. He fought in World War I. He's married to an Aryan woman, Aryan, quote unquote, a fake designation, of course. So he stayed in Germany through all of it, and he wrote a diary. And his diary accounts are some of the most valuable accounts that we have, the most valuable writings that we have from the time period to give us a glimpse into what life was like at the time and in the region. At the time, Zionists, which is to say people who believe that Jews should control the Middle East and it should be under a state named Israel, Zionists were trying to push Jews to return to like the Palestine area. By 1947, 1948, they would start a war called the Nakba, funded surreptitiously by some governments and more openly by others. Czechoslovakia was supplying guns to Israel, for example. They rose up and took a portion of Palestine in the name of Zionism. Now, Victor Klemperer commented on what Zionists were like, who they were, and their thoughts. Let me just read like this one excerpt, and I'll put a little thing at the bottom telling you where to jump forward if you've already heard the excerpt. This is from The Third Reich in Power by Richard J. Evans. One such woman was Ava, wife of Victor Klemperer, who stood by him through all the fastidiousness of the 1930s. As a war veteran and the husband of an Aryan, he was still entitled to keep his job as a professor of French literature at Dresden's Technical University, but he's removed from examining. He was unable to find a publisher for his latest book, and his teaching was so severely restricted that attendance at his lectures fell to single figures, and he felt in danger of being made redundant. He was dismayed still further by some of his Jewish friends' continuing illusions about the regime. All around him, Jewish colleagues were being dismissed, and young Jewish families he knew were emigrating to Palestine. As a German nationalist, he was shocked by the extent to which other Jewish friends were taking on a more Jewish identity and losing their Germanness. He considered Zionism little better than Nazism. He saw his Jewish friends emigrating to Palestine, but had no thought of going there himself. Quote, anyone who goes there is exchanging nationalism and narrowness for nationalism and narrowness. End quote. That is what Victor Klemperer said about Zionists. That they are effectively Nazis. Nazis were obsessed with an Aryan race, building it up and making it a pure bloodline, and controlling an entire region in the name of Aryanism, which again, fake designation, but whatever. Zionists are obsessed with the exact same stuff, except instead of Aryans, it's the Jewish race, quote unquote. Two heads of the same coin. Zionists are the same as Nazis in their ideological extremism, ideological leanings, narrow-minded nationalism. And that is why Hitler was so willing to make a deal with Zionists in 1933, August 1933. Again, I talk about it at length. If you want to hear more about it, it's in the video that released just before this one. The point is that Ben Shapiro is a Zionist. He's one of those people to whom Victor Klemperer was referring when he said basically it's two sides of the same coin, that they are both narrow-minded nationalists, that they're both damaging, destructive to society, to everything around them. He is a shame to the victims of this whole thing. Ben Shapiro is. The ADL is, who also defended Elon Musk. Netanyahu is, who defended him also. They are a shame to the people that suffered and died.
What do you think of Elon Musk, perhaps the president's most visible advisor, doing 2 Heil Hitler salutes last night at the president's televised rally?
No, Elon Musk did not do those salutes. I was not at the rally, but I can tell you I've been at many rallies with Elon Musk, who loves to cheer when President Trump says we need to send, our U.S. space program to Mars. Elon Musk is...
What does that have to do with anything? I don't give a shit what he's talking about with Mars or whatever. He's trying to fit this in here to try to make people remember that, oh yeah, Elon Musk is doing good things, bringing us to Mars. Well, not for nothing, but didn't he say like 10, 15 years ago that we'd be on Mars in 10 years? And where are we with that? He's not doing those great things. It was all bluff. It was all nonsense. It's irrelevant what he's trying to do. He gave a Nazi salute, bottom line. And you know what? Even if he didn't give a Nazi salute, he believes in Nazi ideology. That's why it's so believable that it's a Nazi salute in the first place.
Is a visionary. I'm looking forward to his work in DOGE, the Department of Government Efficiency.
Again, so what? What are you talking about? I don't care about any of that. Are you going to talk about the fact that he gave a sieg heil twice?
And look forward to looking how we can be more efficient and effective, but that is simply not the case. And to say so is the American people are smart. They see through it. They support Elon Musk. We are proud to be the country of such successful entrepreneurs. That is one of our greatest strengths as Americans.
Just horrific, disgusting apologetics for a literal Nazi.
I mean, obviously, all of this is true.
No, it's not, but whatever, fine.
This became so ridiculous that even the ADL, who got this stuff wrong routinely, even the ADL was like, no, I'm sorry, no. Quote, it seems that Elon Musk made an awkward gesture in a moment of enthusiasm, not a Nazi salute. But again, we appreciate that people are on edge. Because
yeah, this is what the ADL said. They defended Elon Musk, as I said, and so did Benjamin Netanyahu. Zionism is two sides of the same coin. It is Nazism in a cloak.
The ADL is always trying to have the baby. But come on, guys, come on. With the New York starting, I need to make sure I'm maintaining my health, hitting the gym, spending time with my family.
Okay, I know he's advertising. Let's just see what stupid ad he's got going on.
Even with my busy work schedule. When I was younger, I used to think I could just power through on pure conservative willpower and caffeine. I learned pretty quickly peak performance requires peak nutrition, and that means eating veggies. Well, I don't like...
Is it just me? What is up with his hair? Why does his hair always look like it's like he just stepped out of a shower or something? Does he put hair gel in that? Is that what it is?
I don't like vegetables, so I'm very thankful to have Balance of Nature, which fits right into...
Balance of Nature. Now we know who not to support in the future.
Even the busiest of days. Imagine trying to eat 31 different fruits and veggies every day. That sounds pretty miserable and time-consuming. With Balance of Nature fruits and veggies, there's never been a more convenient dietary supplement to ensure...
Okay, I'm done with this stupid nonsense. Jump forward past the ads here. By the way, in case anybody was unfamiliar, sieg heil means hail victory. Heil is hail, and sieg is victory. Would you just verify that? Yeah, sieg is victory. So you could say sieg heil if you want, but you're mixing a German word with an English word. So anyway, that's what it means. And the sieg heil, the hail victory salute, is the German Nazi salute.
First order as a preferred customer and get that free bottle of fiber and spice from my friends at Balance of Nature. Alexander Ocasio-Cortez, who is just deeply dishonest. You know, I'm moving away, as y'all know from listening to the show. I tend to attribute most things to stupidity rather than malice. AOC, I'm not sure that it's possible for a person to be this stupid.
Ben Shapiro is outright malicious with this. He is a Zionist that is knowingly, intentionally slandering, lying, and twisting things around to protect a literal Nazi who can further this Zionist's goals, thus in the process betraying everything that he garnered support for. You know, people support what he says about, the Holocaust and protecting Jews and everything else because they think that that's what he's doing. He's not doing that. He doesn't seem to really care about that. What he cares about more than anything else, obviously, is furthering the Zionist goals, just like it was in the 1930s. And if that means defending a literal Nazi, then that's where we are.
And still function in society. So I think it's malice. Here's what she said, quote, just to be clear, you are defending a Heil Hitler salute that was performed and repeated for emphasis and clarity. People can officially stop listening to you as any sort of reputable source of information. You work for them. Thank you for making that crystal clear to all.
Yeah, absolutely disgusting. I can't believe this of the ADL. It's just, it's mind-blowing to me. And Netanyahu and Ben Shapiro and everybody so willing to throw all of the victims under the bus like that.
So AOC is now accusing the ADL of working for Elon Musk. The ADL and Elon Musk have been at odds.
The ADL, you hearing him? He's like he's a little girl or something, like getting all excited about this.
Now accusing the ADL of working for Elon Musk. The ADL and Elon Musk have been at odds for literally years. And if we're talking about people who are quite tolerant of the actual Nazism that exists on planet Earth today, AOC is real high on the list. She's perfectly fine with Hamas ruling the Gaza Strip while denying Israel Iron Dome funding.
No, nobody wants Hamas ruling anything. Hamas bad. We'll go there, okay? Yes, Hamas bad. Nobody likes that. Nobody wants that. And you know what? I was horrified and disturbed and heartbroken, and still am, about October 7th, about what happened in Israel. I don't want anybody hurt. I don't want anybody to die. Nobody. But that is not an excuse for wantonly killing men, women, and children, civilians in Gaza, ethnically cleansing the area and maintaining an ethno-state. It is unacceptable. There is no excuse for doing that. None.
Perfectly fine with Hamas ruling the Gaza Strip while denying
no one is fine with that.
Israel Iron Dome funding to prevent missiles from falling into state roads. I noticed that many of the people who are most upset about Elon's supposed neo-Nazi salute had not a word to say when Jews were being massacred on October 7th.
Of course they did. I talked about this. I did a whole big, long 45-minute video, a breakdown, a historical breakdown of the history of the region and why there were fights and everything. And I said at the time, I'm really devastated that this is happening to people at a music festival. Like, they didn't do to anybody. They didn't deserve this at all. And AOC said the same thing. Nobody wanted this. Nobody. Well, some people wanted it, I guess. I didn't want it. AOC did not want that to happen and stood behind the Jewish community 100% and still do stand behind them in defending themselves from being harmed by anybody for any reason, no matter what, ever. But we aren't in Jewish people are being harmed territory. We are now in an ethno-state speaking for the survivors of the Holocaust, or speaking for the victims of the Holocaust, are literally committing a genocide and ethnically cleansing a region.
Had not a word to say when Jews were being massacred on October 7th, and had many words to say about Israel's ability to defend itself. It seems the only type of Hitlerism that they can't identify is the actual Hitlerism that exists on planet Earth today, the genocidal attempt to destroy Jews in Israel and elsewhere. Unbelievable. But again,
Hamas has said, and Palestine, the West Bank and everything, they have said, if Israel agrees to return to the 1967 borders, which is the borders recognized by international law today, then all of it would stop. And if it didn't stop, I'd stand behind Israel 100%. If they return to the 1967 borders and this stuff continues, they have the moral high ground. Until then, they don't. They are murdering innocent people and stealing land. People literally in the West Bank walking into the people's houses, Palestinians' houses, walking into the houses, laying down in the bed and going to sleep, claiming the house is their own. Soldiers following behind them from the IDF, is that what it's called? The Israeli Defense Force, I think, following behind them to make sure with weapons that the Palestinians don't do something to get them out of their house. That's what's happening right now today. A journalist went to a West Bank settlement where this happened, and it was some dude from New York City went over there and laid down in some couple's bed, claimed it as his own. Reporter walks up to him and says, "What are you doing? Why are you doing this? You're from New York City. This is someone else's house." And he said, "Well, if it's not me taking this house, somebody else is going to take the house. So I figure, why not? I might as well." What is wrong with you, Ben Shapiro, that you would justify things like this? What broke in there that this is okay to you? What broke inside that made you think that it's okay to use the murder of millions as a justification for atrocities? What broke?
Attempt to destroy Jews in Israel and elsewhere. Unbelievable. But again, this all ties into a broader narrative for the left. And that broader narrative is not just, of course, that Elon is a Nazi, but that the entire right is filled with fascists.
Oh, it absolutely is, yes. And not everybody on the right is fascist. Let me put it this way. Not all Trump supporters are Nazis, but all Nazis are Trump supporters.
Because if you can't convince people that your economically Marxist program is a good idea, because it isn't. And if
there is no economically Marxist program, I can't let this slide. I'm sorry, man. Democrats have the mildest economic policy compared to anything. It's barely moving the needle at all. I think at best right now, Democratic economic policy is to bring manufacturing jobs back to the U.S., and that's about the extent of it. I don't remember hearing anything about anybody raising taxes on the rich. I mean, I guess they talk about it with kind of virtue signal, but they've had plenty of chances. You know, Biden was in power for like 4 years, and they didn't, or not very much at the very least. That's not even the Overton window. So the thing they're really focused on the left is bringing jobs back to the U.S. Is that economically Marxist? Like the CHIPS Act, for example. Again, it's, in Ben Shapiro's case, it's malice. It's malice. Dude is a Harvard graduate. He knows better than this. You can't convince me otherwise.
That Elon is a Nazi, but that the entire right is filled with fascists. Because if you can't convince people that your economically Marxist program is a good idea, because it isn't, and if wokeness isn't selling, you are now left with the final argument. And it's the argument they keep going back to. They're going to keep going back to this well, even though that well is absolutely bone dry.
Okay, like, I can't let this one slide either. Wokeism is fictitious. Okay, nobody is quote unquote woke. It's a word that was maybe not made up by the right, but it's certainly blown completely out of proportion and twisted around by the right. There is no wokeism or whatever taking over schools. This is like CRT. There's no CRT in elementary schools. There's no, like, DEI in elementary schools. Get a grip on reality, please. I am begging you.
That well is, they're fascists. Now, remember, Joe Biden ran his entire campaign until he died on stage on this issue and lost. And then Kamala Harris tried it and lost. But they ain't got nothing else there. That's all they got.
It's not a political move. Elon Musk gave a Nazi salute. How can this be any clearer? I'm not criticizing him to win an election, okay? He saluted a crowd with a sieg, heil.
The playbook. So here, for example, was Jimmy Kimmel suggesting you might go to jail for clapping too loud in Donald Trump's America if you clap at Jimmy Kimmel's jokes. Are you kidding? Donald Trump doesn't. First of all of Jimmy Kimmel's viewers are either on my show when I play a clip or in his actual live studio audience. There are no other Jimmy Kimmel viewers.
Well, then why is he bothering to cover him if that's the case?
Yeah, no, you clap too loud, you're all going to prison too.
You know why Ben Shapiro didn't like this? This is very clearly a joke. The guy was joking, all right? And it was, you know, not very funny, but okay, whatever. I'll take it, I suppose. The thing is, it's very clearly a hyperbolic statement that is unrealistic, not going to happen. But when this type of statement is made on the far right, like in Ben Shapiro's spheres, they believe it. It isn't hyperbole. They believe it. They're eating babies. They're using, you know, baby blood to live forever. They're whatever other stupid that these people spread. They believe this stuff. It wouldn't be a hyperbolic, ridiculous joke if it was said by the right. And, you know, again, Ben Shapiro is, in my opinion, malicious. He can't possibly not know that this is nonsense. But trying to interpret this in the most charitable way, which is to say, to interpret it in such a way that Ben Shapiro is dumb as dog. The best I've got is he's interpreting this joke as a serious statement because these type of hyperbolic statements on the right are real. They really are believed.
The press secretary for Bernie Sanders' campaign and then for Kamala Harris in short-lived fashion, she suggests that the reason that Donald Trump signed the pardons for the January 6th rioters and trespassers and protesters was because he's constructing a private army.
That's absolutely true. Yes, 100%. Now, I don't know if anybody implied that or whatever. The private army already exists. Hitler had a private army. It was made up of people that were just really big fans of his and kind of formed a little group where they trained and, you know, fought each other and bought gear and stuff like that. Went to the shooting range, became his bodyguards eventually, I believe. And then they started doing things for Hitler, like going around intimidating political opponents, storming union halls and roughing people up, finding them in an alley at night and beating the shit out of them and stuff. Hitler didn't have to tell them to do any of that. They just did it. And it's not an army exactly with the brown shirts, not at first at least, and with the Proud Boys, which are one-to-one analogous. They're exactly the same, the Proud Boys and the brown shirts. It's not exactly an army. It's just like a militant group. But the brown shirts eventually did turn into basically the army. The Wehrmacht, they kind of joined together. It was a complicated mess because Hitler's trying to evade rules in the Treaty of Versailles that dictated that that Germany could only have 100,000 troops at any one time. And that's why he kind of built the brown shirts into what they were. But anyway, brown shirts and Proud Boys are identical to each other. Identical. So that is, in fact, what Trump is doing, yes.
And protesters was because he's constructing a private army.
Now, those people that were pardoned, they're not, he doesn't need to pardon them to be in his private army, but he's signaling, I will protect you legally. I will pardon you for anything you do, up to and including roughing up political opponents, storming union halls, whatever.
Yes, nailed this. They're going to be his private army. One of the things that the left finds the hardest to grasp about January 6th is that despite all attempts, no evidence was ever uncovered suggesting that Donald Trump directed all of the people involved in January 6th to violently overthrow the United States government.
Bullshit. What are you talking about? Again, like, he didn't need to personally direct them strictly, like with a hierarchy or whatever. Like with the brown shirts, they knew what he wanted done. And he did actually direct people to do it. Anyway, this is just a lie through Roger Stone. Roger Stone worked with the Proud Boy leadership, I believe Enrique Tarrio and a couple of others, effectively generals, worked with them to bury guns in caches outside the city so that they could retrieve them and start the war if need be. Trump absolutely did direct them. Ben Shapiro cannot possibly not know this. This is just a lie.
Zero evidence was adduced to that effect.
It's just a lie.
But they're just going to go with it, man. Here's Simone Sanders going for it.
And one senior Dem state legislator from out west texted me and said, he literally just let his private militia out of jail. He said he's instilled a sense of loyalty. These people feel loyal to him.
Sure and they feel protected over anything else. They feel like they're protected from absolutely anything that they do. They have a get out of jail free pass in perpetuity, or at least for the next 4 years. You know the QAnon shaman? You remember that dude? Big horns and all that junk. Jacob Chansley was his name. When he got his pardon, he tweeted, "Woo, now I'm going to go buy some guns." He wasn't in jail anymore. He served his time. I think it was like 3 years or something. I don't know. But he was registered as a felon, I believe, and wasn't allowed to get guns. Well, guess who can get guns now?
That he's instilled a sense of loyalty. These people feel loyal to him, and their lawlessness is now going to go unchecked, and he can now call on them again to do what they would like.
Call on them again. Ridiculous. He's the
that's exactly what it is.
President of the United States. It turns out he's the commander in chief. So yeah, I'm pretty sure he doesn't need the guy in the buffalo horns.
Well, he can't get the U.S. military to wander around and storm unions and rough people up and break up strikes on the street, start riots and burn down buildings like the Boogaloo Boys, another kind of, brown shirt group for Donald Trump, did in the George Floyd protests. You remember that police precinct that burned down? Kind of sparked this big thing. I believe it was in Minneapolis. That was a Trump supporter that lit that fire. It was one of his private army members that did that. He didn't have to direct that person to do it. They did it, just like the brown shirts. The U.S. military is not going to wander around doing that.
That is the commander in chief. So yeah, I'm pretty sure he doesn't need the guy in the buffalo horns. I'm pretty sure.
Are you tired of the lies and the twist of the mainstream media talking?
My God, dude. Anyway, that's Ben Shapiro. And all, look in the bottom left, facts. Literally the exact opposite of facts. Absolutely insane. Tell me what you think in the comments. We'll be right back. Don't forget to check out my Patreon. Also, take a look at my website, owenmorgan.com. I just finished writing a book titled Was Hitler an Atheist? It talks about religions during the Third Reich and how they work together. Catholics, Jehovah's Witnesses, and Protestants. And I even address the lies told by the evangelical world about Bonhoeffer. It's on Audible and Amazon. I'm going to talk about leopards eating faces. Unexpected subject, I know. People have seen like the ICE raids and all of the other ugly stuff happening right now. And they're starting to realize that this is not actually what they wanted. By the way, cut music out of this. That's why you might hear weird pauses.
This is so crazy that we voted for Trump. We trust him with the words that he promised us Latinos.
You telling me your stupid ass voted for Donald Trump and now you are crying because your friends and family are suffering? Color me surprised.
This is crazy that starting next week, multiple cities will be hitting immigration. That is so crazy that multiple people are scared to go to work.
What did you think was going to happen?
When I work at a lot of Latinos and I go to work, that's
I work with a lot of Latinas and I voted for him, I think is what she said.
crazy because we have a living too.
God protect us, please, is the text on screen.
I hate that I voted for him. Now I'm
Boy, that helps us a lot now. I'm so glad. Thank you for that.
so scared for my family. Hey, y'all stop it. Y'all, we need to come together and do something about this.
The f*** you think I've been trying to do this whole time? I wanted to just kind of take a quick glance through r/leopards ate my face to see how people are reacting to this whole thing. Let's see. As a Middle Eastern and Muslim voter, I will not be voting for Biden-Harris in 2024. I cannot vote for a cabinet that willfully murders innocent civilians and is complicit in a genocide. Sorry, folks, can't beat me. I'm sorry. Sorry, folks, can't be me. This decision has been made. That's on October 31st, 2023. January 28th, 2025. Why the f*** are Democrats so silent? The nation is falling apart. Please, for the love of God, say or do something. That was your responsibility 6 months ago. Good f***ing job. Good job on that one. Thank you. My mom is a hardcore Trumper. Bought Trump coin at the top. Oh my God, that's sad. Is likely going to lose her federally funded job. Also losing her state pension she needed 18 more months to qualify for. She still supports him. Still. Trump was right when he said he could shoot someone on Fifth Avenue and not lose a single vote. Yep, he was. Filipino who identified himself as a Trump supporter in the U.S. is hiding because he's undocumented and afraid of being arrested. It's like it's not even like Donald Trump told them he was going to do something different and then did the opposite. It's not even like that. He told them. He told them what he was going to do. They knew. And here we are, despite that fact, these poor dumb fools still voted for his ass. I don't understand. How is it that these fools fell for it and are just now upset? And you know what? I would bet money that they would still vote for him again. I would bet money that they would. I'm always hesitant to pull up this website. It's the Donald website. Like before, it's the old The Donald subreddit, but the subreddit was banned and they moved to their own platform. And there's no moderation, none. It's an extremist cell. And if you want to know the psychotic shit that people say, think, do, and believe, this is where you find it. It's actually a really big risk for me to even pull it up on stream because it's so vile, because they say such vile things. Death threats regularly, terrorist threats, N-word, F-word for gay people all the time. So that's what we're dealing with. I'm going to have to cut some stuff out if anything like that pops up. But let's just kind of glance through. What should Trump do about, or how should he address the instances where ICE has detained citizens and veterans during their raids? Just to be clear, I'm referring to the incident in New Jersey. Citizen was arrested in a restaurant during a raid. That's BS propaganda, says this person. Like ICE visiting Chicago school when it was actually Secret Service because one of their students was posting crazy stuff. It's not BS propaganda. The second instance that he cited, the Secret Service thing, that was actually the Secret Service. That was a mistake. But, you know, Donald Trump said he's coming to schools. They opened up laws to make it easier to do, or to make it more overt and obvious at the very least. So it's not like out of the realm of possibility. Like, they do intend to do this stuff, clearly. I don't know how to dispel this one. I mean, it's been 3 to 4 days. I have this one, I give this one the 48-hour rule. This stuff literally happened. This veteran was arrested by ICE, was detained by ICE. And all they can do is say it's just propaganda. New Jersey, there wasn't any video from the store. Seems off to me. I'm sorry, I have to call BS on this. You don't arrest someone if they have paperwork and birth certificates. Liberals planted this story. They can't accept what's happening right now. Seriously. This is happening. I guess this is one of those things that they're not okay with. Let's wait and see on this when we need more facts. Like facts are going to change their mind on anything at all. Normal American citizens usually have some form of ID with them. If they don't, well, then I guess it's sorted out by other means. Save some time and trouble and carry some form of ID. They're literally asking for people's papers. And if they don't turn them up, then you're detained. These Trump nutcases are coming up with an excuse for that. For literally living in Russia or Germany. They both did this. Well, the whole point of detention seems a little odd to think that targeted raids are not really targeted to individuals known to have committed crimes but just happen to look Hispanic. Seems a little odd, doesn't it? Yeah, I would call that odd. Instead of realizing that the odd part is not that it's happening, this is happening. That's not the odd part to them. Instead of realizing that that's the odd part rather than what they're thinking, which is, well, I think it's a liberal planet story. They can't accept reality. I mean, the whole wear your papers thing is a little off-putting. If we are intellectually honest, we were saying the same thing about COVID vaccine certificates, if you recall. They have to deflect. They have to blame other things. They have to compare it to stuff that's not happening. They have to say the liberals did it too or whatever. Fine, okay, I don't care. That didn't happen. But for the sake of argument, okay, let's say that you were required to have passports or whatever the hell. And you were not okay with it then, but you're okay with it now? I don't know what to think about this particular event. I could say shit happens and move on. And I don't want to live in a show me your papers country. And if they're targeted raids, then yeah, this doesn't make a lot of sense. Article said they received tips or complaints and went there. I don't know, more details or a press release from ICE would be helpful. The guy is waiting for the perpetrators of this wrong to explain what happened. Yeah, this is messed up, but a lot depends on the exact circumstances that we don't know. If an officer detains you for 5 minutes to ask you basic questions, I'm okay with that, especially if they were on a tip. If they arrest a citizen, take him downtown for hours, it's got to be fixed. I'll tell you what happens. Dr. Phil pretty clearly explained in his whole, ride along with ICE as they arrest innocent people. They have a list of people that they intend to grab. They show up and grab them in an accelerated fashion. They're grabbing more people than originally intended. And when they get there, they look around for anybody else that might look like they could be undocumented. That's what Dr. Phil said. That is what the borders are or whatever that he was with. That's what he said. They're racially profiling, looking for people that could be undocumented. And as a matter of fact, the Twitter account End Wokeism, you guys may know that one. He said that right now, undocumented immigrants, or illegal immigrants, I think he said illegal immigrants are protesting outside of Trump Tower in New York City right now. How do you know they're illegal immigrants? How would you come to that conclusion? The answer is you wouldn't. End Wokeness is guessing based on their skin color. Anyway, these people are just lost. Their heads are gone. We're not Nazis, but papers, please. I can't believe this is where we're at, says this person in the comments. Even I, a Dane, know you don't have to provide ID in the States unless they have RAS of a specific crime. I think it depends on the state. I think that if a cop asks for your ID in certain states, you have to give your ID. And if you don't have one, then I believe they have the right to arrest you until it's sorted out. I know that because my brother has had to deal with this, but again, it's state by state. I think that Georgia does not require ID. I don't know if you guys heard about this one, but Trump directs Guantanamo Bay to be prepared to host up to 30,000 migrants. Donald Trump is creating a concentration camp in Guantanamo Bay. To be perfectly frank, Guantanamo Bay was already a concentration camp, but it only held 800 people before. Now it holds 30,000, or it's going to hold 30,000. And who do you think is going to build it out to be that big? Just take a guess. Either the migrants that they're bringing there, because slave labor is, of course, legal in the United States. It's always been legal to have slave labor in the U.S., either the migrants or the billionaire friends of Donald Trump. You know, in Germany, they didn't build the death camps within German borders usually. I think they built them in Poland largely. Auschwitz was in Poland, for example, because it was a police state. They didn't have an opportunity to reach the death camp to see what was happening in Poland. And the German citizens didn't know it was there, or couldn't reach it, or couldn't verify it, or whatever other thing. Eventually, they did actually know that it was there. It wasn't even long before they caught on to everything, but they kept it out of sight, is the point. They kept it out of reach. We know that this concentration camp is going to be there, but it's out of reach. We can't go there. We can't investigate. We can't take pictures. There's a reason why they put it out of reach like that. ICE knew where the criminal aliens were, and Mayorkas/Biden kept them free. Mayorkas, NGOs, churches, and local government officials were actively protecting the worst of the worst just because they preferred helping illegal aliens to protecting Americans. That's not true. The government knows where some undocumented immigrants are, but it doesn't know where all of them are. That's what makes them undocumented, because they didn't show up to renew their visa or whatever. That's how it works. That's the nature of this whole thing. But it did know where some of them were, and to my knowledge, up to now, most of the arrests that have happened have been scheduled. They were already planned by Biden. But the claim that these are all criminals that are being arrested, first of all, deportation it's a civil offense. Overstaying your visa, not a criminal offense. You don't go to jail for overstaying your visa. You're just deported at worst. So you're not supposed to be locked up for this. But, these people say that they're criminals. The ones that are criminals, they should be deported. I simply disagree with that. They shouldn't be deported. They should be put in jail. I don't want them to possibly go free. Why would I want that? I don't want deportation of criminals. I want them to be locked up. And if they are in the system, if they really are criminals, then they will be locked up. They're not going after immigrants because they're criminals. They're not only going after criminal immigrants. They're going after immigrants. Some of them have criminal records. Some of them do not. It's immaterial as to whether they're getting these people. Anyway, it says here they kept them free. They had no reason to arrest them. It's called due process. Mayorkas, NGOs, churches, and local government officials were actively protecting the worst of the worst just because they preferred helping illegal aliens protecting Americans. I appreciate that they included churches in that and local governments. They're not protecting the worst of the worst. You think that local governments want chaos in their cities? You think that they would rather have literal dangerous criminals out on the streets running around than have them in jail or off the streets for people's protection? Of course not. Nobody wants literal criminals out on the street to hurt others. Nobody. But you have to give everybody due process. You can't walk up to people and demand their papers and jail them if they don't provide them or whatever. That's not how this works. But these people don't seem to get it. They don't seem to understand, I guess. And one more thing, illegal aliens, that is the exact phrase that Hitler used to use to refer to Jews, illegal aliens. It's dehumanizing language. They're undocumented immigrants at best. They're not illegal. The word illegal, the use of the word illegal there is doing a lot of heavy lifting intentionally. It's not a crime. It's a civil offense. And why would you call them aliens? So here are some of the comments. Democrat Party kept them here, safe and hidden from police. You think Democrats are hiding literal murderers from the police. For what? To what end? What are you talking about? Why would anybody do that? This is like a conspiracy where Democrats are intentionally setting out to hurt the country because they hate the United States. And if they can, get murderers in the US to like build an army to hurt the United States, then they win. And it's an organized effort in their head. I mean, this is delusion land, really. How do people buy this? How do they buy this? They knew, and they were doing everything they could to hide and shield them from deportation. This is just delusion, complete delusion all the way down. All Democrats must be criminals. I cannot recall a Democrat standing up and trying to do the right thing, quote unquote. It's largely installed or appointed Democrats at the state level, but make no mistake, there's blood on both Democrats and Republicans' hands, and money in pockets, enabling this at the federal level. It's less a DVR thing, Democrat versus Republican thing, than evil v. good, and the evil has been spread through both parties. Money is the root, media is the shade. Again, he believes that Democrats are hiding murderers to prevent them from facing accountability, to stick it to the Republicans. When I hear somebody say that, it makes me think that that's the type of shit that they would do to Democrats, which is why it pops in their head in the first place. And I don't know what to feel but disturbed. There's more money in helping illegals. They, if you notice, they have triple parentheses. That means that's neo-Nazi slang, I guess, for Jews. When you put they in triple parentheses, it means the Jews that control the media and the banks and the everything else. So he's referring to Jews. God, dude. How could Ben Shapiro vote for this political party? Honestly. How could Netanyahu or the ADL defend them the way they defended Elon Musk? Anyway, that's neither here nor there. They are loyal to the money, not to Americans. They, triple parentheses again, don't consider Americans their fellow countrymen since we are not in their tribe. Their tribe, of course, being the 12 tribes of Israel. That's what this person means. 16 upvotes on this. It's the Catholics. I personally know several Trump voting Catholics who complain bitterly all the time about Trump's ousting of the illegal aliens. Interesting that they said Catholics. I mean, they very clearly meant Jews. But yeah, I mean, I guess that there is a lot of like Protestant hate for Catholics. And the Pope is, to my knowledge, very opposed to deportation efforts. He thinks that it's horrific and wrong and disgusting. But he also hates abortion and thinks that that's horrific and wrong for what that's worth. But yep, gonna jump past that one. We got some slurs on screen here. The American Christian Church is a cult. The pastors are owned by the federal government through being nonprofits. There are, of course, exceptions, but for the majority, the church, regardless of denomination, is no less corrupt than any other institution. I find this so fascinating. I'm trying to figure out like how their minds work on this subject, and I think I've come to a conclusion with this. Let me lay this out. I read the Turner Diaries a while back. Turner Diaries is considered the world's most dangerous book, and it's a book about a guy named Earl Turner who is radicalized, goes from just being a normal person who's kind of right-wing all the way toward leading a Holocaust, like planning and executing a Holocaust, full-blown Holocaust on the Black community, Mexicans, and a bunch of others. It works you all the way up to that position where where he arrives there, where he's willing to do such a thing to people. In the book, he said basically the Christians were helpful, but they weren't fully in line with like our goals or whatever. And I was like, that's really interesting. He calls them the Christians, like he doesn't identify with them exactly. And I came to realize that, well, Earl Turner in the book, he did identify with the Christians. He was Christian. He called himself a Christian. So why is it that he kind of differentiated between the two? And here's the reason. Because people have multiple ideologies. They have like a primary ideology sometimes. I don't think I have any ideologies that I adhere to exactly. We'll call them moral frameworks. People have multiple moral frameworks that they adhere to sometimes. Earl Turner, for example, or the people on this website, they have a primary ideology of white nationalism. or of Nazism. They're full-blown Nazis. They have that as their primary ideology. And then they have Christian as their secondary ideology. They go with the secondary moral framework until it interferes with the primary. So they'll say they love God and they hate atheists. And they'll say that, like, Muslims have the wrong God and it's not the same as the Christian God and all this shit. But when it all boils down to it, though, and their belief system in Christianity comes in conflict with their white nationalism, they default to their white nationalism. For example, let me just give a couple of examples here. Being pro-life is a Christian position, but being in favor of the death penalty is a right-wing fascist position. It's like a right-wing fascist position. Being opposed to cancel culture is within the moral framework of one of their ideologies. But in the other ideology, Christians are superior to non-Christians and that they should be able to say everything that they want. So you get people who are opposed to cancel culture, ostensibly claim to be, but are also canceling, quote unquote, doing the exact same things that they're accusing their critics of doing. That's how you end up with hypocrisy like this. Banning trans people from bathrooms to protect children, but completely ignoring the fact that Catholic priests are being moved from parish to parish to protect them from prosecution. People that are actually hurting children actively. It's a cognitive dissonance. It's a hang up in the belief system. It's something that they're not thinking through logically, that isn't being like reconciled in their heads properly, because it's conflicting with the other beliefs. Also, raiding churches for immigrants. They legalized that recently. I think it was an executive order from Donald Trump, legalized raiding churches to arrest undocumented immigrants. Up to 5 minutes ago, these people would have lost their shit if federal agents showed up to a church to take some of the church members away in the middle of a service. Suddenly they're okay with that? It's because their secondary ideology is being overridden by their primary ideology, their primary moral framework. So here we have somebody on the Donald subreddit, the old subreddit, that says, the American Christian church is a cult, quote unquote. He puts Christian in quotes because he is a Christian, but he wants to make it clear that he is not one of those Christians. The pastors are owned by the federal government through nonprofits. There are, of course, exceptions, but for the majority of the church, regardless of denomination, it's no less corrupt than any other institution. So this person has found a way to be a Christian and simultaneously criticize Christianity. I hope nobody here needs to hear this, but Democrats want to destroy the United States of America, repeated 3 times. Just following orders, sir. They're preferred to profit off of illegals. How would anybody profit off of illegals? What are you talking about? This is just straight up delusion. Again, more slurs. Lots of slurs. Okay, great. Thank you for all the slurs. That's what I'm talking about on this website. It's insane. Dems will literally choose votes they can't control, which equals power, over the safety and lives of fellow Americans. How sick is that? They're getting themselves whipped into a blood frenzy over fictitious nonsense. Undocumented immigrants cannot vote. They could never vote. To vote, you have to register, which requires paperwork, ID, and all this other stuff. You can't just go somewhere and cast a ballot. That is not how it works. But these people delusionally are convinced that Mexicans are being bussed in to the United States to vote, to win an election against Republicans incorrectly. And if they don't believe that, I mean the people on this website, then they believe that they're building an army. That's another popular one, that they're all military-aged men building an army. That's not how armies work. And if they'd ever been in the military, they would know that. You can't just build an army like that. You need supply chains, communication networks, and everything else. And there is absolutely no evidence that any of that stuff exists for undocumented immigrants. They're from different areas of the world entirely. They don't even know each other. They've never heard of each other. They live in a delusion. These people are in a delusion. Unfortunately, it's a delusion that directly negatively affects us. So we have to face it head on. Incorrect. Law enforcement actively chose not to enforce the law or form militias. He's talking about the Second Amendment misinterpretation that leads to basically creating a competing military against the U.S. government. They're using Biden as an excuse for their immoral behavior when law enforcement had the resources and authority to protect American citizens. Police also had the means and authority to arrest NGOs and churches, but actively chose not to. They will let Americans suffer in exchange for easy times. Do not fall for their finger pointing. Wow, man. They had an opportunity to arrest churches. This is what I'm talking about. All of that bitching that these people did about how churches are absolutely sacrosanct and can't be challenged or punished or anything in any way, shape, or form, no matter what, ever. And here we are reading people talking about how churches were not, for lack of a better term, punished for whatever it is this person is complaining about. This is absolutely wild to me, man. Absolutely wild. When can we start getting those churches and NGOs in trouble for knowingly harboring fugitives? I keep seeing that law thrown around, but I never see anything actually happen with it. These are Christians. This is an example of a primary ideology overriding a secondary ideology. And in some cases, the two ideologies blend together, like with abortion and white nationalism. I don't know. For example, like abortion is both a religious and a political position, and they've blended it together so seamlessly that their reason for opposing a political position is based on religious reasoning now. Like they have souls or something like that, when in fact that's just complete nonsense. Arrest and jail time set an example. Psychopaths and corrupt individuals only stop with violence. Holy shit, bro. Treason charges for all who protect them. They'll solve this real quick and they'll squeal on the rest. Treason charge comes with the death sentence. The point is that these, like, they still aren't letting them into the jails. They didn't commit a crime. They don't belong in jails. Catholics don't worship God. They worship self. Don't be a Catholic and end up in hell. Anyway, yeah, tell me what you think about it in the comments. These people really need help, and it's just an embarrassment that they don't seem to get it. They don't get it. Trump supporter is upset that his wife is deported. I guess he thought he was special. MAGA Florida man gets his Venezuelan wife deported, begs Trump for help. A week, and now my Medicaid portal is shut down in my state. I voted for him too, but Jesus Christ. Due to the devastating impact that this order will have on our agricultural industry and rural communities, we demand President Trump clarify his order and continue federal grants, loans, and aid on which farmers, ranchers, and rural communities rely. Whoops. On January 27th, Trump signed an executive order to freeze trillions of dollars in federal grants and loans. Of utmost concern to us and our members, blah, blah, blah. Trump is destroying the country right now. He's destroying the country. And these poor dumb fools that voted for it are now complaining about how they're being adversely affected. Yeah, dumb. What did you think was going to happen? You think you were going to be exempt from this? How does one get so fucking stupid? How does this happen? Did you, like, drink from a lead pipe when you were little? Did you have, like, lead paint chips that you chewed on? Did you have little toy cars, Hot Wheels, that were painted in lead? Was that what it was? What was it? How did you get here? Look, this is funny. Look at this. Oh, dude, this is really good. Too much food. Leopards eating faces, and it's so full it's falling off the branch. I love that. That's funny. The Department of Veterans Affairs has canceled prevention training because it includes considerations for the LGBT community. This is George Carlin. If you vote and you elect dishonest, incompetent people into office who screw everything up, you are responsible for what they have done. You caused the problem. You voted them in. You have no right to complain. I'll take it a step further. If you specifically and intentionally did not vote for the lesser of two evils because they just didn't kind of meet your expectations, this is your fault too. I'm looking at you, people who refused to vote for Kamala because of how, Biden was handling Gaza. How do you think Gaza's going to fare now? Let's go to r/conservative, because that place is just... That is one hell of a website right there. One hell of a subreddit. NYC residents praise ICE raids after violent gang member captured. No, I live in New York City. I have not heard a single word of that. I'm around. I talk to people. I have friends here. Literally not one word of this. I haven't heard any of it. I live in Manhattan, for that matter. I'm in the heart of it, okay? This is bullshit. It's all bullshit all the way down. It's fictitious nonsense that they're using to garner support for something that is horrific and reprehensible. Half of these r/conservative posts are marked as satire in this little tiny, in the corner. If you look real close, you'll see a satire tag. Most people don't even realize that. Denmark to increase military spending in North Atlantic by $2 billion amid row with Trump over Greenland. You mean row? I guess that's supposed to be row. This is a shameful moment. MAGA said that they weren't going to be militaristic or imperialistic. They wanted to end wars. You remember all that? No more wars, end the wars. And Trump is threatening literal military action against Greenland. Now, what does MAGA have to say about it? They should be completely opposed to it if we are to find moral consistency. Well, that's one way to get these countries to increase their military spending. This would stop China from mining there. Is it a win? We don't spend a dime. They mine it and protect it from the Chinese. We can buy we can buy mined resources? ? Really, was this the plan? They will come up with any excuse they can possibly find to turn this into Trump is really playing 4D chess, and this is really a genius move. This is a terrible move. It isolates the United States from its allies in Europe to a degree that I can't even articulate. Europe is literally threatening war with the United States if Trump tries to take Greenland. Person says probably, as we know, Trump is usually thinking a few steps ahead. These people are gone. Their heads are gone. The fact the media and left actually think Trump would send our military to Greenland and take it by force is hilarious. The media and the left don't think that. You know who thinks it? Europe. Europe thinks it. And look, I don't actually think he's going to do that, but threatening it in the first place is dumb as dog shit and hurts us. Art of the deal, this person says. Posturing against Trump rarely turns out well, ask Columbia. The Vikings are going to need a bigger navy if they're going to protect their overseas territory. I know a couple shipyards here in the U.S. that would like to help them spend their money. This person isn't anti-war. If they buy it from us, that would be a hilarious example of unintentional 4D chess. We don't care about Greenland. We just wanted to scare the Danes into buying our guns. Germany declares solidarity with Greenland against Trump. France floats deploying troops. Maybe this will get even more of these European governments to increase their military budgets. This is all 4D chess shit. They're convinced that Trump is playing 4D chess and that he's really not a complete fucking moron that is destroying our reputation internationally. He's really doing something really smart. Look at this picture of Donald Trump they have on the side here. Why'd they give him a beard? He doesn't have a beard. His face is shaved like a baby's ass. Like a chick's face. They're trying to make him look more manly than he is. How beta is that? Olaf won't even be around this time next month. Of course he's talking shit. Olaf Schultz. Let the people of Greenland vote on it. Everyone else can go to hell. That's what I think. Let the people of New York State vote on whether they secede from the United States. That's effectively what they're saying. Greenland belongs to this government. I'll bet Trump would be okay with the EU actually deploying troops and securing Greenland. One of the reasons he wants it is because it's a perfect position to protect against Russian Arctic aggression. Are you shitting me? You can't be serious with this. Like Donald Trump has any thought of military protection against Russia? U.S. citizenship renunciation inquiries surge in Canada, lawyers say. Bye-bye. Great, renounced citizenship means they can't vote. Good. Oh, and don't come back for U.S.-based health care. Trust me, nobody is coming back for that. It would be really funny if they did that only for Canada to become the 51st state. Although thanks but no thanks on that one. We've seen the people Canada elects, they can keep to themselves. Oh, yeah, that's a good point. Shit, I didn't even think about that. If Canada became the 51st state, Republicans would never win another election. I wonder what they had to say about Elon 332 comments. Let's see here. This is about Elon Musk's Nazi salute. Can we please get rid of Elon? It's becoming more clear he's a liability rather than an asset for Trump. That's interesting. I'm sorry, but the cope here is insane. As somebody from Europe whose family suffered under the Nazis directly because they weren't German enough, this is just insane to read. European conservative. Would you really react the same if someone from the left spectrum did this? Trump needs to get rid of him. Conservatives are not Nazis, but people like Elon damaged this reputation. That's interesting. I didn't expect that one. And these are the upvoted ones. The left saw exactly what they wanted to see, but seriously, damn it, Elon. Laughing emoji. So I guess this person is saying that Elon didn't actually do a Nazi salute. Am I reading this correctly? This is 30 upvotes. Pretty much, yeah, he could have easily made his heart goes out to you gesture with both hands and nobody would have questioned it. People need to remember how unhinged the left is and that they will absolutely latch onto anything they can. It doesn't get any clearer than that. It was a Nazi salute, really. Anyone with a functioning brain stem knows this already. Edit, salty commies are here to downvote. 70 downvotes. Wow. So this post said Elon Musk's Nazi salute was not actually a Nazi salute. That's what the post says. Somebody in the comments replies, everybody knows that. And he gets downvoted to shit. I'm going to take that as a sign that most people probably believe that it was intentional and that it was a Nazi salute, and they like that. I know all you ignorant leftists are going to be stepping on rakes over and over and over again for 4 more years, and that you couldn't even wait 8 hours to hoax again, but we'll keep letting you do it and laughing at you anyway. Elon in October, quote, those who want to kill more Israelis need to be stopped. They should either be killed or incarcerated, or else they will continue their efforts to murder Israelis, blah, blah, blah. Yeah, he's pointing out the contradiction, the cognitive dissonance between Nazism and Zionism. Zionism and Nazism, as I talked about not too long ago, are two sides of the same coin. Nazism is the belief that white people or Aryans are superior because of their bloodline and that they deserve to control the world and nobody else has a right to have any kind of political authority or anything at all. That's Nazism. Zionism is identical, except instead of Aryans, they believe it about Jews. And Zionists and Nazis work together all the time. They worked together in 1933, August 1933. They made a deal with Hitler to push Jews into Palestine so that they could start a war called the Nakba, where they took Palestine and renamed it Israel, and ethnically cleansed all of the Palestinians in the area. And by the way, August 1933, for the record, that was after everybody knew exactly what kind of person Hitler was and what he was up to and what he had planned. Zionists and Nazis are the same, is my point. P.S. The real Nazi wannabes are all of you Democrat leftists rioting on college campuses for the past year, celebrating the murders of Israelis at a music festival and chanting Antifada. Okay, I don't know who he's imagining in his head right now, but who is doing this? Is this real? I haven't heard of a single instance of this. Well, I think I heard about some right-wing nutcases complaining about Antifada or something, some Antifada chant. But again, I think it was Netanyahu that complained about that, and he's a Nazi. He's a Zionist, which is a Jewish Nazi. It is an identical ideology. So I'm sorry if I don't take his word for it or whatever. Do you know that Netanyahu, the prime minister of Israel, went to high school in Pennsylvania? You know, he went to Yale University. He lived in the United States for a really long time before going to Israel and claiming that claiming the title of Pope of the Jews, if you will. He and the ADL and Ben Shapiro are a shame to the victims of the Holocaust. A shame, an embarrassment. Somebody at the ADL going to get fired for telling the truth. He said, my heart goes out to you, gestured at his heart, then outstretched his arm to the audience. No, he didn't. He did a Nazi salute, and a few seconds later, afterward, then he said, my heart goes out to you. The two things were not connected to each other in any way, but all right. Anyway, yeah, tell me what you think about it in the comments. These people are just so whacked out, man, really. So whacked out. That's all I've got for you. If you like what I do and you want to see me continue to do it, don't forget to check me out on Patreon. I just finished writing a book titled Was Hitler an Atheist? It talks about religions during the Third Reich and how they work together. Catholics, Jehovah's Witnesses, and Protestants. And I even address the lies told by the evangelical world about Bonhoeffer. It's on Audible and Amazon. Okay, thanks for watching, guys.